At Petco Park in San Diego, the New York Mets play the San Diego Padres. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Geico. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. By BMW. Test drive a BMW at your Tri-State BMW Center or visit us at tristatebmw.com. By Citi, proud partner of the New York Mets. By Toyota, dear driver, hurry in and save. Toyota. And by Empire City Casino, Manhattan's closest casino. Come play. Well, we showed you the bridge to Coronado each of the last two nights. Now we're showing you actual Coronado. And between Coronado and San Diego, there's so much water. You can do all sorts of stuff. Now, my issue with the water is it gets in your ears and your nose, and it's kind of uncomfortable. But, gosh, these guys look like they're having a lot of fun. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to the broadcast booth. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets play Game 3 of their 4-game series against the San Diego Padres, and a special pitching matchup tonight. It's always special when Jacob DeGrom goes to the mound, but he's opposed by Joe Musgrove, who has come of age this year. DeGrom first, off to an historic start to his season, and the only question every time he takes the mound is, what can he do for an encore?
Yeah, you feel like every time he goes on the mound, Gary, it's going to be another historic night. Coming off 6 scoreless and 8 strikeouts against the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's now gone his 8 starts without giving up more than a run. Just an amazing start to his season, and you don't see it ending this year.
His last start, he averaged 100 miles an hour with his fastball, the first starting pitcher since they started doing pitch tracking to do that for an entire game. 52 years into San Diego history, they had never had a no-hitter. Second start out of the box for the San Diego native Joe Musgrove. He threw the first no-hitter in Padres history.
Against the Texas Rangers. Think of this, guys. The last 3 innings, he did not throw one fastball in that no-hitter. He has been outstanding all season long. He's been with the Pirates. He's been with Houston. But he's found a home again here in San Diego. That's the last out to Kim to the shortstop. And he's coming off, interestingly enough, 5 no-hit innings in relief when he tried to help the bullpen out of Blake Snell.
Had a couple of hiccups against the Giants in early May. He's bounced back, hasn't allowed a run in any of his last 3 starts. Hits will be hard to come by tonight with DeGrom and Musgrove going head-to-head. It's the Mets and the Padres, all the action on SNY. SNY is brought to you by Hyundai. At Hyundai, the longer you look, the more there is to like, and right now there's a lot to see at your Hyundai dealer. By Spectrum. Spectrum Mobile has unlimited talk, text, and data. You can save up to 40%. Go to SpectrumMobile.com today. And by Cadillac. Visit your Tri-State Cadillac dealer and experience the ultimate in iconic luxury. You know how hard it is to keep your attention when you're looking at Jack?
Freaks me out.
Jack will speak to you. More seats, more fans, more fun. Mets single-game tickets for the rest of the season are on sale now. Get yours at Mets.com/tickets. Drive around the majors presented by Cadillac. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. now leads the majors in home runs with 18. Blue Jays beat the Astros this afternoon. Bryce Harper off the injured list at a home run. So did Andrew McCutchen and Rhys Hoskins as the Phillies outlasted the Nationals. And Trevor Rogers may be the front runner for Rookie of the Year in the National League, but the Marlins lost their 8th in a row. Jacob Stallings, another big hit for the Pirates as they win in 12 innings, 8-7. Another gorgeous day in San Diego. Ho-hum. Mets try and get a win in this series. First pitch coming up. Well, he struck out better than 45% of the batters he's faced this year. Nobody else is even close. He has been nothing short of historically brilliant through his first 8 starts, and tonight he takes on a San Diego team that has shut down the Mets in the first 2 games, so he may have to be close to perfect. Geico Mets starting lineup. Billy McKinney hits leadoff for the first time this year, 36th time in his career. Travis Blankenhorn gets his first start as a Met, his 2nd career start. DeGrom, who's hitting .450, hits 8th for the 2nd time this season. Jose Peraza gets a turn at third base, and there's Joe Musgrove.
Well, everyone knows about the no-hitter by Joe Musgrove against the Texas Rangers, but he's been great all season long. His last 3 appearances, 16 2/3 innings, he has given up 0 Look at that whip, 0.76 on the season for Musgrove. You're going to see a lot of cutters, a lot of curves, a lot of sliders.
Second best whip in this game.
That's right. There you go. Right. That's why showing you the defense here. Victor Caratini behind the plate. He's got a couple home runs against DeGrom, Machado, Tatis Jr., Cronenworth, and Hosmer. Machado's made some amazing plays at third. Marcano in left field. Profar getting the start in all these first 3 games here in center field. And Will Myers in right.
Is SNY the official sponsor of the Padres
yes.
defense?
You know, as soon as I saw it, that was like my name is, and you put in the wrong name.
Manny Machado has shown off his incredible defensive skills in this series on a couple of occasions.
Just makes it look easy. This play is impossible. Almost no one makes that play. And then this one to get the force out at second base, put something on it.
Just the accuracy of his throws from every angle.
I mean, he's like Gumby.
It's a big man to be Gumby.
Yeah. He's so good at third, they sent him out in right field.
Well, because Billy McKinney is coming up, and as we know, Machado retrieved McKinney's triple in the opening game of this series, kept it from being an inside-the-park home run. McKinney hitting leadoff. 1 for 4 in the series. Joe Musgrove throws a fastball for a strike, and we're underway. McKinney getting a chance to lead off for the first time as a Met. He's been on base 4 times in this series, so why not? His 8th start as a Met. He's become a fixture in right field over the last couple of weeks. McKinney, Lindor, and Alonso against Musgrove in the first.
I think his couple of walks in yesterday's game probably precipitated him getting this leadoff spot.
So you just saw Musgrove throw 2 straight fastballs to start the game. He has thrown his fastball only 22% of the time this year. Why? Well, he's become a fantastic breaking ball pitcher, and when he's thrown his fastball, it's gotten hit, even in this season of success for Musgrove. So he's just showing it early. 3 in a row, and he misses up high 1 and 2.
His strength with his fastball is usually down in the strike zone. Maybe that's the issue. But I was mentioning in the open, in that no-hitter, he threw his last fastball to strike out Falefa in the 6th inning, never threw another one in the final 3.
Until they got Connor Falefa to end the game.
Yeah.
1-2 on the way, and the breaking ball hit in the air to right field down the line, but foul. Loud foul ball from McKinney. Well, there's your StatCast provided by Google Cloud. So look at that.
Yeah.
The OPS against his fastball is the 4th highest in the majors, but against his breaking ball, the 2nd lowest.
5 for 82 off his slider this year.
He's got the curveball and the slider in between him. He throws them 49% of the time, so a lot of breaking stuff from Musgrove. And McKinney takes a changeup off the plate, and it's 2-2. Joe Musgrove, now 28 years old, first drafted by Toronto in 2011. Came to the big leagues with the Astros, then went to Pittsburgh. His career numbers were very modest coming into this season. McKinney gets a breaking ball and rips it down the right field line, and that'll go back to the wall. McKinney heads for second. As Myers retrieves it, McKinney's going to take the turn and hold on. Thought better of it after taking a turn at second base. Billy McKinney, asked to lead off for the first time tonight, drills a double to right field to start the game.
Another extra base hit for McKinney on the changeup that bled right down and in, or more thigh high in. And he put the head of the bat on the ball and just drove it down that right field line. Looked like he'd have a chance at 3, but you never want to get thrown out and make the first out at third base. So conservative and good base running by McKinney.
So with that, McKinney becomes the first Met in history whose first 6 hits as a Met have all gone for extra bases. 3 doubles, a triple, and 2 home runs. Curtis Granderson was the only other who had gotten extra base hits with his first 5 hits as a Met. So here's Lindor, 3 for 7 in this series, trying to cash a quick run against Musgrove, who hasn't given up a run in his last 3 appearances. And Lindor showing bunt and taking outside.
They're giving him the bunt. He's been taking it recently. And why not?
Well, they're giving him the drag. They're not necessarily giving him the third base side, with Machado playing at the edge of the grass with his ability to charge a ball.
Yeah, you better make a good bunt if you're going against Machado.
Hosmer playing back at first base. And the curveball balloons outside, and it's 2-0 to Lindor. Francisco's 3 for 9 against Musgrove. Mentioned his career numbers coming into this year. 29 and 38 with a 4.33 ERA. This year, a completely different story. 5th in the National League in ERA at 2.08. Doesn't walk people. Striking out more than ever. Behind 2-0 on Lindor, with Pete Alonso hitting 3rd in the order on deck. And that cutter runs in on Lindor, and he fouls it off 2-1.
That's what he'll go to when he's behind in the count, much like Yu Darvish in the first game. Cutters when he's in a hitter's count.
Mets trying to get DeGrom an early lead. They've scored just one first-inning run in DeGrom's first 8 starts this year. The San Diego starting pitching staff was beefed up considerably. Musgrove was hoping going into the offseason that he would wind up in San Diego, but when they traded for Blake Snell and then traded for Yu Darvish, he figured, well, that's not going to happen. But then they traded for him as well. And Lindor yanks one foul.
Yeah, Darvish was involved in a 7-player trade. Snell was involved in a 5-player trade. And Musgrove was involved in a 3-team 7-player trade.
Which was the trade that also brought Joey Lucchesi to the Mets. 2-2 to Lindor, is riding a 7-game hitting streak. He's hitting .400 over the last 7 games. It's the best stretch that he has gone through all year, up to .217 for the year. And the slider gets Lindor for the first down of the night.
Well, it's not only the break, but also he takes a little bit off that pitch, and that's why Lindor was so far out in front. Good placement by Musgrove, good call by Caratini.
So Lindor unable to advance McKinney, and now Pete Alonso comes up. Mets had a big scoring chance last night, down 1-0 in the 7th. Lindor got their first hit. He wound up at 3rd after an error with nobody out, and the Mets could not cash the run against Blake Snell and wound up getting shut out for the 3rd time this year. Alonso 1 for 5 in this series. He struck out, he popped up in that sequence in the 7th last night, and he chases a slider for strike 1.
When you look at the grip of his breaking ball, he has such big hands that he doesn't choke it back in his hands. It's right on the end of his fingertips. And when you have a pitch like that, you can not only put a lot of spin on it, but you can also throw it hard. And that's why Musgrove is having the year he's having.
Oh, and 1 to Alonso, and he gets one in the air to right field along the line. A long run from Myers, and that'll go out of play. 0-2 to Pete. The last time the Mets faced Joe Musgrove, it was at Citi Field 2 years ago when he was wearing a Pirates uniform, and they strafed him. 8 runs in 3 1/3 innings. It was a low period in Musgrove's career. Last year he was hurt for half of the short season with a triceps issue, so he made only 8 starts for the Pirates.
Not even the same pitcher. He was a sinker slider guy looking for ground balls.
But he started to make the transition to being more of a breaking ball pitcher last year, even though the results weren't there. He was 1-5, 3.86 in his 8 starts with the Pirates, and that caught the Padres' attention. And Alonso chases the slider for strike 3, so not a good at bat for Pete. And Musgrove with back-to-back strikeouts after the leadoff double.
When you're ahead in the count, you have a hitter that's trying to protect. That ball was on the plate a long time until it took that left turn and ended up a foot plus off the plate.
So Musgrove, after the leadoff double, now with a chance to get through this opening inning. Dom Smith hitting cleanup tonight. Musgrove in heady territory in strikeouts per 9 innings. Peralta worked a no-hit bid into the 8th inning last night. Dom's 0 for 4 in this series after a terrific series in Arizona, and he takes the cutter inside for ball 1.
Well, after some of the at-bats in this series, you would think that even after that first pitch fastball that he got, he's going to see a lot of breaking balls from Musgrove tonight.
Had a pinch hitting assignment last night in the 8th inning and struck out against Pierce Johnson. Back in the starting lineup tonight and hitting cleanup. And gets the breaking ball and fouls it off, 1-1.
Tatis at shortstop is trying to sneak in behind with the daylight play on McKinney. McKinney's going to have to be careful. Musgrove's good athlete, quick feet.
1-1 to Dom. Kevin Pillar would be next. And Dom yanks the slider foul, and it's 1-2. So Musgrove, after showing his fastball in that first at bat to McKinney, has gone completely away from it since.
As soon as he got in trouble. That's how it works. All bets are off once runners are on base.
I mean, I don't know if he goes into a game with the game plan of, trying to use that fastball first time through the order and then throws it away after the leadoff double.
Absolutely. You try to go through the first time through the order with the pitch, with your fastball, and not let them see too many breaking balls.
One-two coming. And the breaking ball lined to center field, but right at Profar to retire the side. A bullet off the bat of Dom Smith, but Musgrove survives the leadoff double. Now DeGrom takes his turn. Have good career numbers against Jacob DeGrom, who has a lifetime 1.57 ERA and 8 career starts against the Padres.
Toyota numbers for Jake this season just phenomenal in his career. 74 and 53 and 191 starts. ERA over his career 2.53 and 1,441 strikeouts. Next on the list, Sid Fernandez.
8 behind Sid for 4th place on the Mets all-time list.
Lexus, Gary, Mets defense. Tomas Nido gets a start behind the plate after 3 starts from McCann, Peraza, Lindor. Blankenhorn gets the start at second base. He's going to be one of the biggest second basemen ever played for the Mets. Dom Smith, Pilar, and McKinney.
6'3", 235, Travis Blankenhorn.
Have you ever seen a bigger second baseman?
Jeff Kent was about the biggest guy I saw. Yeah. Bobby Grich was a big second baseman.
That's right.
Jurickson Profar leads off against DeGrom, and Jake's first fastball is low for ball one, 100 miles an hour. He averaged 100.1 on his fastball in his last start against Arizona. The first time since pitch tracking began that a starting pitcher had averaged 100 with their fastball in any start. And that one's lifted by Profar out to left center. Dom Smith not in your picture. Now he is. And that's the first out. We have to do the disclaimer straight away. Those are not our cameramen, not our director deciding on which shots you see. We're at the mercy of the world feed provided by the Padres broadcast. We apologize.
They have no interest really in one of their hitters popping up.
But they did have a good shot of Kevin Pillar watching Dom Smith catch the ball.
They did.
Maybe they just weren't prepared for anybody to make contact against DeGrom.
Well, I always think, Steve in the last game had a really good mention about the efficiency of DeGrom to go along with his effectiveness.
Well, here's Machado, 6 for 15 against Jake. Not too many guys hit 400 against him, and Jake blows a fastball by him, 0-1. Machado provided the keynote last night, a first-inning home run against Joe DeCasey. That was all that San Diego needed. He also drove in their other run with a bases-loaded walk against Jerry's Familia. And Machado tries to stop the swing on the high fastball. And he went around, 0-2.
That's going to be a good sign for both Musgrove and DeGrom, is that Hunter Wendelstedt likes to call that check swing or not check swing from behind the dish.
Jake quickly ahead 0-2. And Machado able to foul off the fastball. Now, we talked about Musgrove establishing his fastball early. Jake, of course, does the same, but the difference is that at a time when every other pitcher in baseball seems to be throwing their fastball less, DeGrom is actually throwing his more.
Well, he's become so precise with that power. I don't think there's anyone that hits that glove side with the fastball better than DeGrom.
65% of his pitches this year have been fastballs. And he dots the outside corner to get Machado for the second out. So DeGrom has his first strikeout of the night. Machado begs to differ with Hunter Wendelstedt. Thought the pitch was away.
Easy gas at 100 miles an hour. He was right. Ball was away. Wendelstedt and umpires, when you're umpiring with these kind of excellent pitchers, especially Jake, maybe the best pitcher in the game, I think the best pitcher in the game, you're hunting strikes. You're ready to call strikes. You're aggressive.
Here's Jake Cronenworth, who's 1 for 7 in this series. So in his first start this season, DeGrom faced the Phillies. He gave up a double to Rhys Hoskins, who was thrown out trying to go to third, and then he walked Bryce Harper. Since then, in the first inning, DeGrom has retired 24 straight batters. And he's ahead on Cronenworth, 0-2. I mean, I don't know if there's such a thing as a perfect game first inning, but he's getting close.
Yeah, he's getting there.
And it's generally throwing almost all fastballs. Been consistently 100 in this first inning. And Cronenworth gets his first slider and strikes out. DeGrom with another 1-2-3 opening inning with a couple of punch outs. It's on. DeGrom and Musgrove, no score after 1. Well, the Mets haven't played a lot of games against teams with 500 or better record, and they haven't fared very well when they have. 2-12 this year. But then again, everybody else in their division is under 500 against the better teams, which is why the Mets, despite being just 4 games over 500, started the day with a 3.5 game lead. Kevin Pillar 0 for his last 11, facing Joe Musgrove as we start the second inning. And Pillar takes a fastball for a strike. So here's what Kevin Pillar said on his Zoom call today. He said, after watching Yu Darvish no-hit the Mets for the first 4 and Blake Snell no-hit the Mets for the first 6, he said, there's no way we can get no-hit tonight with Jake in the lineup.
He's great.
He really is.
I mean, look back on this year at some point, September, October, and realize what a great signing he was.
Well, I think what he did by returning as quickly as he did from the horrifying fastball he took to his face really has been an inspiration for this team. Tatis with a running toss gets Pillar by a stride. 1 away.
All good teams have a certain toughness, Gary. It just it's very important for teams that want to be good postseason teams to show the other team that they're tough. They're going to bring it every single day. They're going to play every single out. Those teams are the teams that other teams look at and go, whoa, that's legit.
And the Mets are doing it with half a lineup. I mean, let's face it, they had a successful start to this road trip in Arizona, but they're still missing a lot of key pieces, and you can only survive that way for so long as Nito takes a curveball for a strike. So you need the intangibles to put you over the top. I mean, it's great that the Mets are getting fantastic pitching, and their defense has been out of this world. In fact, they have the best defense in baseball as of today, according to defensive runs saved. But it's hard to win day after day that way when you're missing half your lineup.
Yeah, and intangibles are impossible to measure, so I know that a lot of folks want to discount it because you can't measure it, but it's very, very important over a 6-month season and 162 games.
Nito didn't start the last 3 games with James McCann's bat having heated up. Tomas last got a start on Tuesday in Arizona, went 0 for 4 in that game. But it's been a strong start to his season. Musgrove gave up a leadoff double to McKinney in the first. He's retired the next 4. And Nito lays off the slider, and it's 2-2. Joe Musgrove, Grossmont High School, El Cajon, California. His parents own Cafe Adesso in Alpine, California, which saw a big boost in business after Musgrove's no-hitter.
Well, it should.
Said normally they serve about 300 cups a day of coffee, 700 the first day after the no-hitter. And the slider strikes out Nito. Third strikeout of the night for Musgrove.
You know, one thing we're seeing from Musgrove that you see live and not always on tape is that he changes his arm angles, too, on that breaking ball. And that's another thing that makes him more effective. He'll just drop down ever so slightly against the right-handers and had Nito out front.
Now, everybody talks about tunneling.
Yeah.
So that's going against tunneling.
It is going against tunneling, but for someone like Musgrove is throwing so many breaking balls, who cares? I mean, you know, he's just giving it different shapes.
Now, Travis Blankenhorn, his second career start. He started one game for the Twins last year. And after a 2-week odyssey that took him to 4 different organizations, starting to settle in as a Met. He's had 4 at-bats so far, looking for his first hit. He was on the DFA Express. He went from the Twins to the Dodgers to the Mariners to the Mets in a 2-week span. So the Mets were able to gain a player off a DFA. The Mets have now lost 5 players this year to the DFA, trying to structure their roster with all the comings and goings because of injuries. The latest was Sam McWilliams, who was claimed by the Padres today. And the curveball bends in for a strike 1 and 2. Jake Hager, Sam McWilliams, Daniel Zamora, Davey Grullon, and Trevor Hildenberger have all been claimed out of the Mets organization after they were designated for assignment just since opening day. But that's what some of your depth is for. Hildenberger drives one down the line, and he's got his first hit as a Met. Myers picks it out of the corner. Hildenberger with his second major league base hit, his first in a Mets uniform. It's a 2-out double. Travis Blankenhorn.
Well, he's had some beautiful swings when he's been in there the last couple of nights. Took some good at-bats against Melanson before grounding out. And then here on this breaking ball, a double down the line. 2 doubles now for Mets hitters, both in the same area code.
So Blankenhorn has the Mets' second hit. Manny Machado, who had to go all the way into the right field corner to chase that ball. Does a lot of running in the course of a game.
Well, he saw that another left-handed hitter was coming up, but he realized it was the pitcher, DeGrom, so he's got to come back and play his normal position.
Sure he doesn't want to shift against Jake?
Jake's last hit in his last game would have been exactly where Machado was playing.
DeGrom is hitting .450, 9 hits and 20 at-bats. And while Jake has given up only 1 hit all season with runners in scoring position, he has 3 hits with runners in scoring position. He grounds one on the right side, though, and Cronenworth is there to field it, and that retires a side. Travis Blankenhorn with his first Met hit, but the Mets fail to score. The 2021 Google MLB All-Star Ballot is now open. Vote daily at MLB.com/vote and on Google by searching for your favorite players to send them to Colorado. Guaranteed to be in Denver for the All-Star game, Jacob DeGrom.
Yes. The ball, maybe a generous call, but after all those fastballs in the Cronenworth, bent that slider, and he had no chance.
Well, he's moving on up. Now just 6 behind Sid Fernandez for 4th on the all-time Mets strikeout list.
Great Sid.
You mentioned he came into the night with a 2.53 lifetime ERA. That is the best earned run average in Mets history. Right. He moved ahead of Tom Seaver earlier this season, and he's moved further ahead with each runless start. He's also gone 18 consecutive road starts without a loss, which is a club record. Going 8-0 over that span. Fernando Tatis leads off against Jacob DeGrom in the home second. Tatis homered in the opening game of the series. He's gone 3 for 8 in the first 2 games. Tied for the National League lead with 17 home runs. Second in the league with 39 runs driven in. third in runs scored, second in stolen bases, and he doesn't even have enough plate appearances to qualify for the league average leaders. And he breaks his bat as he lines one the other way past Alonso for a base hit. Tatis takes a wide turn. He's going to try for two. McKinney's throw to second, and Lindor with the tag. He came off the bag, but not far enough. Tatis with a double. A broken bat going the other way, and he's the first base runner of the night for San Diego.
You know, we talked a lot about the speed of this Padres team and the way they steal bases, but they do a lot of other things, and Tatis leads this team with his ability to be aggressive out of the box. Breaks his bat, sends it down the right field line past Alonso, and he had second base on his mind from the beginning. Long run for McKinney, and watch him as he stays on his base. I don't know how.
I thought he had actually come off, but somehow he was able to hook it with his back foot and keep that foot from coming off.
He just rolled right on top of his foot.
And Lindor smartly kept the tag on him the whole way, so he had to. Hosmer pops one up into shallow left, and Dom Smith comes on to get it. And that's the first out. So the Padres attacking early in the count against DeGrom, both Tatis and Hosmer swinging at the first pitch. This is a San Diego team that makes a lot of contact, and they're trying to get to DeGrom early in counts. Here's Will Myers. Myers 3 for 8 in the first two games.
Yeah, I was trying to say that with his effectiveness and his ability to economize his pitches, he could go through this lineup with a minimum of pitches.
Well, he's faced 5 batters and thrown just 11 pitches, so that gives you an idea of how this game might go. And, you know, most guys, you see the way the numbers improve for Jake as the situation gets dicier. 1 for 16 this year now with runners in scoring position.
Got to watch Tatis. He's going to try to run.
He's edging away. Jake giving him a look and another, and Myers calls for time.
Tough to do it against DeGrom. He's such a wily veteran, knows exactly what's going on, knows the situation, knows the game.
You know, you would think with most guys, if he's getting attacked early in the count with fastballs, that he would go to breaking balls earlier in the count, but DeGrom doesn't need to. I mean, he's still attacking with fastballs.
No, that's the one thing I learned from Mel Stottlemyre. He said these guys are first ball fastball hitters. Throw your fastball in a good place. You can use it to your advantage. Well, that's what DeGrom does.
I mean, he's throwing fastballs down the middle, but they're 101, and they're not squaring them up. 0-2 to Myers with Tucupita Marcano waiting on deck. Tatis at second and 1 out. And DeGrom bounces the slider, and it's 1-2.
You know, the only thing that I would say that San Diego has going for them in this matchup with DeGrom is that they face Clayton Kershaw. They face Walker Buehler 5 times each a year. They face some of the elite pitchers in the game.
Kevin Gausman.
Yeah, so
Gausman won again tonight, beat the Cubs. He's 7-0, 1.27. He'd be the Cy Young favorite if it weren't for DeGrom. Myers able to waste away a 102-mile-an-hour fastball.
He was the National League Pitcher of the Month in May only because Jacob missed the start or two.
Tatis has a dozen steals this year, including 4 steals of third base. Blankenhorn trying to keep him close. 1-2 coming to Myers. And he yanks one foul. Still 1-2.
Now, it's really hard because he's throwing 100+ miles per hour with that dastardly slider. But no team has been able to take the approach of maybe getting a little closer and trying to shoot that ball to right field, because off of DeGrom, 75% of the pitchers are going to be middle of plate, and not even middle of plate, away. So you've got to try, if you're right-handed, to shoot the ball that way.
And Myers again pokes one the other way. This one just goes foul. So everything just off the plate outside, and Myers has been able to foul away a couple of those 100+ mile-an-hour fastballs, and now Nito out for a conversation.
And Nito's out there to talk exactly about what's going on. So Tatis has got a hit that way. Myers has sent a couple that way. How you end this? You get a couple of fastballs inside, a couple looking strikeouts, and it ends all of that business for the rest of the evening.
Is it about the inside fastball? Is it more about the front door slider? What is it that he needs to do to counter that?
The inside fastball is the key.
Nito sets up inside, but Myers able to foul it back. Good at bat here for Myers, keeping himself alive after falling down in the count.
This is a good lineup. This will be a real test.
Eighth pitch of the at-bat coming from DeGrom to Myers. And he laid off the changeup, and it's 2-2.
Good call, Gary. That was a changeup at 94 miles per hour. So he's thrown the kitchen sink already. First time through the order to these Padres hitters. Very rare for DeGrom to have to do that so early. It tells you a little bit about the lineup of the Padres.
He barely threw his changeup in the last start against Arizona. Didn't need it. Now on 2-2, Myers hits the ground ball to shortstop. That'll advance the runner, but Lindor able to throw out Myers. Tatis to third, 2 away. So DeGrom, after giving up the broken bat double to Tatis, retires the next 2, not without some strain, as Myers worked a 9-pitch at bat. And now the rookie left fielder, Tucupita Marcano, making his 9th start for the Padres. 0 for 3 in this series.
Nito will have to be on form. Anything that gets by him 10 feet, Tatis is coming.
We've already seen that in this series. Of course, you don't usually have that problem with DeGrom. He has not thrown a wild pitch this year. Does not tend to bounce pitches, except the occasional back foot slider. And Marcano fouls one away, and DeGrom missing location there as Nito set up inside, and that pitch went away.
That's twice he's done that. You can see he's such a perfectionist that as soon as he lets that pitch go, he'll pause, he'll think, he'll scratch at the mound as he ponders how to check that and alter that.
This is a night when DeGrom, if he's on, should be able to go full tether after being restricted in his pitch count his first 2 starts off the injured list. And Marcano rolls one slowly. DeGrom picks it up on the run and makes the play. Those long strides and the great athleticism of DeGrom save him a run. Nice play. Inning over. For New York Mets baseball on the radio, WCBS News Radio 880, the upcoming schedule. We're on Pix 11 tomorrow for the final game of the series, a 4 o'clock start. Day off Monday, then in Baltimore for 2 before the Mets return home for more with the Padres starting on Friday night. 7 of 9 games in this stretch against the San Diego Padres. San Diego's taken the first 2. No score as we go to the third in this one. Jose Peraza hitting number 9 in the order tonight. 1 for 6 in this series and takes a fastball strike from Musgrove.
Gary, did you tell me that the Mets are going to get Harvey again, huh?
Looks like they'll face him on Wednesday at Camden Yards. It has not gone well for Matt since his first start against the Mets. Good curveball by Musgrove to get ahead on Peraza, 0-2. Peraza getting a start at third base tonight, with Blankenhorn slotting in at second. Luis Guillorme made his first rehab start last night for Syracuse. And Musgrove takes care of Peraza with a fastball. 4 strikeouts first time through the batting order for Joe Musgrove. Looks like Jonathan VR might be able to return to the lineup as soon as tomorrow. Should be available to pinch hit as he did last night, sitting a third straight game with a hamstring issue. So now Musgrove faces Billy McKinney, who doubled into the right field corner his first time up. Mets left him stranded at second. McKinney's had a good series now. He's been on base 5 times. And he nicks the changeup foul, and it's 0-1. And with Michael Conforto out for the long term, nowhere really close to coming back, could be that Billy McKinney settles in and gets to play a lot of right field over the next month or so.
You and I feel the same way. He's a good athlete, good player.
I mean, he's shown the power, he's shown the speed, he's shown the defense. What he hasn't shown yet at any point in his big league career is the ability to hit consistently. Had his most extensive playing time with Toronto a couple of years ago, and hit .215 that year.
He's playing for the spot of filling in for Conforto right now. But when Conforto comes back, you can envision him being the fourth outfielder.
The Mets keep cycling through players to try and find the best combination with the injuries that they have. And they made an interesting signing today. They picked up Cesar Puello, who was a longtime player in the Mets organization. He's had some big league time with 4 different teams. But I remember the first time we saw Puello in spring training when he was just a baby in 2008. Curveball in for a call, strike 3, and McKinney is called out on strikes.
Musgrove does something interesting with his breaking ball, and you can only be a big, strong pitcher to be able to do this. How he gets his break. Watch his front shoulder. See how he rips that left front shoulder out, the glove out, and goes towards first base? That arm lags behind him. So it's almost like a little bit of a delay before that ball starts breaking. Only way you can do that is you have to be big and strong in the shoulders.
I mean, they always tell pitchers not to open up too soon, and yet that's what he's doing.
That's what he does to get the rip on that curveball late.
Here's Lindor, who struck out his first time up. And he gets a first pitch fastball and fouls it off. So Musgrove has struck out 5 of the first 10 batters. Mets have a couple of 2-base hits mixed in there, McKinney and Blankenhorn, but they were unable to cash in. Mets went all of last night without an extra base hit. It was the 7th time this season they've had a game without an extra base hit, and remarkably, they won 3 of those games. Good curveball by Musgrove. He's got the breaking stuff working, and it's 0-2.
He didn't have it early, but it's come around now here in the third.
Mm. 1-2 to Lindor. Musgrove now over his last 4 appearances has gone 18 2/3 innings without allowing a run. He bounces that slider and it's 2-2. And Lindor takes strike 3 call. Knees and black, and Musgrove strikes out the side in the third. Still no score. Shipped Steve Gelbs back to the studio for, a little tune-up. And so down the hall in TV Aux 2, we're very pleased to welcome in Michelle Margot. Michelle, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you so much, Gary. I obviously have some pretty big shoes to fill from Steve. You set the bar pretty high, but one person that I want to talk about, because Mets fans probably care about this person a little bit more, Jacob DeGrom. He isn't just must-see TV for Mets fans. He has Dwight Gooden revolving his entire week around the day that he pitches, and it's been that way for about 4 years, according to Doc. He was on the last road trip to Arizona and was able to watch him in person, and when I spoke with him, I said, you were your generation's DeGrom, so how did you deal with the pressure of having people's expectations to where you have to dominate every single start like that? And he said, I would focus on the wrong part of the game because the bar was set so high. If I threw a complete game shutout with 5 Ks, the first question from the media would be, why didn't you have 10? And he said DeGrom accepts that challenge. He said what impresses him more than anything else is DeGrom's mound presence, which is amazing. He never shows any emotion one way or the other, which is great for a pitcher because then the opposing team has nothing to go off of. And I asked Doc if there's something that he really wants to see DeGrom do besides the typical answer of a no-hitter or a perfect game. And he said he really wants to see him get in the postseason again, and he really wants him to go up against Garrett Cole in the Subway Series. I thought that was the answer of a true competitor. It was really incredible what we're witnessing, guys.
It certainly is an historic start to the season, and I think that's an interesting thought from Doc, who had to go through that as a 19 and 20-year-old, which I think is, different from where DeGrom is at in his career. Lindor waits on the ground ball and then throws out Musgrove for the second out.
Yeah, I thought a great report, Michelle. I thought it was interesting about Dwight. He had unbelievable expectations, and one of the few guys that was able to meet it those first couple of years each and every time. And I tell people this all the time, and if you're sick of it, I'll tell it one more, and that's it. But I used to have to chart his games, and he would strike out 15 batters, throw a complete game shutout on 105 pitches. It's almost mathematically impossible to do that, but he would do it many games.
And that's kind of what DeGrom's doing right now.
Right.
The only difference, of course, is that Doc was doing it for 8 and 9 innings at a time.
Yeah.
But that's just the nature of how the game has changed. It doesn't really reflect at all on what DeGrom is accomplishing as he runs one inside to Jurickson Profar.
The one thing they do share, they share incredible athleticism. They share the ability to easily throw the ball so hard. That's a hard thing to do.
That's an outstanding point because we see so many guys throwing max effort now and not getting the kind of whip and velocity that DeGrom is getting without that kind of grunting and groaning.
Yeah.
1-1 to Profar.
He's got the velocity with the pitchability, the repeatability. He's got it all, and Dwight had it all also. Dwight looked like you were going to a ballet at times watching him throw.
I really do go back to the difference in age, though, because I think that has served Jake well. Think of where he was as a 19-year-old. He was a shortstop in college. And, he was able to mature as a person before he matured as a pitcher.
Also, I think the injuries, especially the first injury, had to mature him also and probably put him on a path where he, for the first time, started training as a pitcher, not a shortstop in college.
1-2 coming to Profar, and he struck him out with a slider. DeGrom with his third strikeout of the night, and we have a scoreless game as we go to the fourth.
To follow that, guys. He's clearly more entertaining in every aspect.
Only so far. You got a long way to go, so
I do.
Enjoy every moment of it.
Thanks. I'll do my best.
At least you don't have that other guy looming over your shoulder.
I was wondering why Gelbsy was aging like a president. Now I know why.
We go to the fourth inning. Pete Alonso leads off against Joe Musgrove, who struck out 6 over the first 3 innings. And Pete takes up an in ball 1. I didn't always know that Gelbs was that funny.
Well,
he's developed that great sense of humor.
Yes, he has.
I'm very, very impressed. Curveball for a strike to Alonso. He may not be here, but his shirts are hanging to dry.
Same old 2 tired shirts he wears every single time on the air.
We're sitting here in our SNY polo, so I'm not quite sure that's our best line right there.
That's right.
Dom Smith and Kevin Pillar to follow in the fourth, and the curveball pulled foul, and it's 1-2. Pete struck out his first time up. It's had a chance in the first inning. Leadoff double by McKinney, but Musgrove was able to strike out Lindor and Alonso. Dom Smith hit the ball hard, but lined out to center field, and Musgrove was able to get through it. Figured this was going to be a night when runs were hard to come by, and so far that's exactly what it's been. And Pete gets on top of one to center field. Profar, though, goes back to make the catch. We talk all the time about the high fastball and how hard it is for hitters these days to get up there.
And Pete did a great job. He almost got there. Yep. The ball just beat him. He hit that ball closer to home plate instead of hitting that kind of out in front. Out in front, that ball goes 450. You know, I was fortunate in my career. I would have a chance every once in a while to pitch against Valenzuela, Nolan Ryan, and Steve Carlton, and others, many others. And it is one of the great days as a pitcher to get yourself ready and prepared to face a guy who's the best in the game right now. You just love it. If you don't love it, you got to find something else. But everyone loves it.
But does it change your mindset at all? Do you ever think, I can't afford to give up a run in a way that you might not in other starts?
Yeah, I think that's the wrong attitude to take because that's result oriented, and you shouldn't think that way. You should always just think in real time, right now, present moment. How am I going to get through this batter, Dominic Smith, with a 1-0 count? That's where you got to be.
Dom got a breaking ball to hit his first time up, and at a bullet to center field that was caught. And that backdoor cutter misses, and it's 2-0.
This is one of those games where a couple swings of the bat can decide it.
Machado out in distant climbs in right field. That one's hit toward the middle. That's a base hit for Dom. So twice Dom has used the middle of the field. This time he got a fastball and hit it back up the middle for the Mets' third hit of the night.
Well, nice hitting by Dominic on that 2-0 count. That's one of the things that we've seen going around the league. He challenged him with a little cutter on the outside part of the plate. Dominic sent it right up the middle. But early in this season, we've seen other teams and their shifting not be able to cover that ball up the middle. Mets cover that ball a majority of the time.
Well, the Padres clearly have a different imperative with the shift that they run against lefties with that positioning of Machado in right field.
You have to factor in the athletic talent of the people that they're moving around.
It's Kevin Pillar. What I found interesting reading today is that the Padres, although they've shifted a lot against lefties, and we've seen that, they very rarely shift against right-hand hitters. I mean, even against a guy like Alonso, who a lot of teams shift against, they play more straight up.
I find that interesting because they're right-handed pitchers. Musgrove and Darvish throw a lot of breaking balls that you think would be pulled by right-handed hitters.
Pillar swings over the slider, and it's 0-2. Pillar had a really terrific return from the injured list. Got a base hit his first time up amidst a standing ovation in Arizona. Came back with a couple of hits the next day. But he's now 0 for his last 12. He yanks one on the ground foul. Well, sorry, Joe Musgrove, but it's time for the Spectrum Mobile high-speed pitch, and this just makes you feel bad if you're on the other side.
You got to get it to triple digits if you want a shot.
DeGrom is the only starter doing that. Coming into the day, he had thrown 88 pitches, 100 or more. The next most for any starter was 10.
Who could get close? Alcantara for the Marlins?
He might have the best shot.
Yep.
I mean, when Luis Severino was healthy, he would get up there in the same neighborhood as DeGrom.
All the Mets base runners have to be ready for any breaking ball in the dirt that gets away from Caratini. Be aggressive. Not going to be able to string a lot of hits together.
And Pillar takes one just below the zone, and it's 1-2. Pillar was addressing that point today. He was talking about defensive positioning, and he said that he would rather play deeper because at this point in the way the game has evolved, it's so hard to string singles together for runs that it's much more important than it's ever been before to cut down the extra base hit.
Agree. 100% agree.
And a half swing, and he went around, strike 3. First base umpire Tripp Gibson said he offered at the cutter, and that's the 7th strikeout for Musgrove, 2 down. So we've shown you Musgrove throwing his slider and his curveball. What's the difference?
Well, you look on the left, the slider grip, he got a lot of space in between his thumb and his fingers. It's on the end of his fingers. The curveball is jammed back into his palm more. You see less space. The curveball, you're trying to manipulate it and break it more. The slider, really, you just grab the grip and you set it in your hand at a 45-degree angle and you throw it as hard as you can. That's the difference between those two pitches. Nice shot, guys.
So Dom still at first with 2 out. Here's Nito, and he gets a first pitch slider and swings over it. 0-1.
Not a Dave Matthews lyrics, but the space between is the key there. And the slider and curveball for Musgrove.
Backhanded by Caratini, and it's 1-1. One and 1 to Nito, and he lays off the slider, and it's 2-1. Travis Blankenhorn would be next. How hard should hits be to come by in this game? Batting average against Musgrove coming into the day, 158. Good. Batting average against DeGrom coming into the day, 129. Both in the top 5 in the league. DeGrom number 1. And it's gone that way. 3 hits for the Mets, 1 hit for the Padres as we play in the 4th. And Nito takes the fastball outside. It's 3-1. First 3-ball count for Musgrove tonight. They're the city probables for the final game of the series tomorrow. Marcus Stroman for the Mets, and the voluble Chris Paddock goes for the Padres.
And there was a time that Chris Paddock was going to be the next up-and-comer, and he's been relegated to the 5th spot in that rotation.
They're going with a 6-man rotation right now. As Nito chases a 3-1 slider. Mets have not seen Dinelson Lamet in this series, and they haven't seen Ryan Weathers. I was hoping to see Weathers because, David Weathers, his dad, was such a delightful guy to be around during his tenure with the Mets.
And even though they signed him to a 2-year deal, Mike Clevenger is not going to pitch all season either.
Hosmer will play behind Smith, who will be running with 3-2 and 2 out. And Nito lays off that slider for ball 4. So the first walk of the night for Musgrove pushes a runner into scoring position for Travis Blankenhorn.
Interesting. It seemed like he didn't want any part of Nito with Blankenhorn coming up, who hit a bullet off him to right field.
Blankenhorn picked up his 2nd major league hit, his first as a Met, a double down the right field line in the 2nd. Travis Blankenhorn from Pottsville, Pennsylvania, just west of Allentown. Huge high school basketball star, big high school football star, but opted for baseball.
Yeah, they can play some football out in that part of the world.
Yeah. Smith at second, Nito at first with 2 down. And Blankenhorn lays off the breaking ball. Ball 1. So Caratini's going to run it out to Musgrove.
We've seen both catchers now, right? Nito coming out to DeGrom to speak to whether he's going to throw some pitches inside. And now Caratini is trying to address that Musgrove is pitching behind each and every hitter. That's not going to work even if you have the great stuff. Oh, Trevor Hoffman looking like he could still get some outs with that changeup.
Just sitting there staring at his retired number out in the outfield. There's a statue.
He's waiting for the AC/DC song to play.
Hell's Bells. It was a staple.
It was. One of the great guys of the game, great ambassadors of the game. It's unusual not to see his brother as the third base coach.
His brother was a longtime fixture as the third base coach for the Padres. A terrific guy in his own right,
That's right.
Glenn Hoffman. 1-0 to Blankenhorn, and he fouls off the curveball, and it's 1-1. Well, 601 saves, I think, says about as much as you need to hear.
Yeah.
You know, the one knock on Trevor was that he didn't get it done in the postseason, but you know what? He didn't get that many opportunities
I was
either.
going to say, yeah, it's not like they were there every year. But that's part of it. The baseball card says it all.
He was lights out, and for most of his career, he did that without an elite fastball. Did it with the most incredible changeup. Blankenhorn takes a curveball for a strike, and it's 1-2.
He's a shortstop when he was drafted, I believe.
Well, like DeGrom, he became a pitcher on the fly. Mets in this series are 0 for 14 with runners in scoring position. Looking for Blankenhorn to remove that blank. And he fouls it off, and it's still 1-2.
I'll tell you, though, he's had good swings on the breaking ball. I think Musgrove, with this 1-2 count, is going to have to show one fastball in off the plate just to get him off the speed of that curveball.
Thrown him 4 straight breaking balls to start the at-bat. Blankenhorn in his last full minor league season hit 19 home runs in 2019. Split between single A and double A in the Twins organization. Got pop. It's part of what the Mets liked about him. This will be the 23rd pitch of the inning for Musgrove. And the high fastball strikes out Blankenhorn to end the inning. 8 strikeouts in the first 4 for Musgrove. Still no score in San Diego. Your Coors Light beating the pressure since his Cy Young run began in 2018. Jacob DeGrom's ERA is almost half a run better than anybody else in the game.
Boy. Anything under 2. It's magic.
I mean, there's so many numbers for Jake right now. Here's one. To start this season, in his first 8 starts, he's gone at least 5 innings each time, and he's allowed no more than 5 base runners in each one. It's the first time any pitcher's ever had an 8-game stretch since they started counting earned runs in 1913 of 8 straight starts with 5 innings and no more than 5 base runners. I mean, that's how completely dominant he's been. Came into the day 51 innings, 22 hits, 7 walks, and 82 strikeouts. Tonight, he's given up just 1 base runner, a broken bat double to Fernando Tatis, leading off in the second. Was able to keep him from scoring. Now he gets 2, 3, and 4 in the order for the second time around. He got Machado looking at a fastball that might have been a bit off the plate his first time up. And Manny takes the first pitch slider low and away for ball 1. Machado, Cronenworth, and Tatis against DeGrom, who has struck out 3 over the first 3 innings. So now 85 strikeouts and 7 walks. And Machado got a good swing at that fastball and fouled it off 1-1. Well, first 8 starts, struck out 46% of his batters, by far the most of anybody. Most of them, vast majority, swinging strikes. Doesn't matter what pitch he throws, it's the most dominant pitch.
Surprising. The only thing surprising is that 11 looking, but hitters are just swinging because he exploits them up in the strike zone.
Chopped foul by Machado on the slider, 1-2. Well, we showed you earlier with Musgrove how his fastball's been hit, but his other pitches have been dominant. With DeGrom, all three of his principal pitches are top 4 in the majors in lowest OPS. So it really doesn't matter what he throws. And he strikes out Machado with a fastball away. Second time he's gotten Manny, and that's his 4th strikeout.
This is all a result of his first at-bat. If you remember, he took this same pitch for strike 3 called by Wendelstedt. So Wendelstedt has set a precedent. That ball would be called a strike, so you have to be swinging.
Not fair because you can't hit it.
Came up empty. Yep.
So 1 out now. Cronenworth, who struck out on 3 pitches his first time up. And he is one of the elite contact hitters in the game. He's made contact with 88% of his swings this year. That's top 5 in the majors. So if you strike him out, you have accomplished something. And he drives one out to right center field. That's going to go up the gap. Cut off by McKinney, and he'll hold Cronenworth to a single. Nicely done by McKinney. Off the bat, that looked like a double, but Cronenworth forced to stop at first.
Well, we've seen him go to his left, and now we've seen him go to his right. Rare fastball trying to go away against Cronenworth. It finds the middle of the plate. Kind of hit up on the label, but still muscled into right center field. The hustle by McKinney, the quick throw, and the leap as he let that ball go, and a perfect strike to Lindor.
So a big spot here for DeGrom, facing Tatis with a runner aboard. Tatis swung at the first pitch he saw, broke his batting line to double to right, leading off in the second. And this time he buries one in the dirt for ball 1. Tough grab for Nito, 101 in the dirt.
Hasn't felt as comfortable from the stretch, DeGrom, as he has from the windup.
Right now, you'd have to say that this pitcher and this hitter are the top 2 MVP candidates in the National League.
You got that right.
And they're going head-to-head in a scoreless game in the 4th. On the ground, a chance for 2 if they hurry, but it's bobbled by Lindor and everybody's safe. Probably wasn't going to be able to get a double play against Tatis's speed, but it rolls up his arm and Lindor unable to make any play, putting 2 men aboard.
That's why I was surprised by Lindor, who tried to be very quick with this ground ball. I thought he would have more kind of jurisprudence to think that take your time, just get rid of that ball and get the out at second base. No need to rush it, but he never got the handle. Ball ran right up through his glove, up his arm, and then dropped behind him.
3rd error of the year for Lindor. That sets the table for the Padres. 1st and 2nd and 1 out for Eric Hosmer, who flied out to left on the first pitch he saw in the 2nd inning. And Hosmer goes after a first pitch slider, 0-1. Hosmer 0 for 6 in this series. DeGrom gave up a leadoff double in the 2nd, retired the next 3 hitters. Opposing batters are now 1 for 18 with runners in scoring position against him this year. A little fly ball into left center, falling fast. Dom comes on, can't make the catch. It falls in. Cronenworth had held up. He goes to 3rd and has to stop there. Cronenworth apparently thought that ball was going to be caught because he was skidding to a stop between 2nd and 3rd when it fell in front of Dom Smith. And now the base is loaded with 1 out.
Well, I think this was a difficult read for Cronenworth. Hanging breaking ball right in the middle of the plate. So a couple of balls by DeGrom thrown right in the middle of the plate. Dom lucky enough to keep this in front of him with that glove. Cronenworth, honestly, no place to go. He doesn't know Dominic Smith enough to know that he probably wasn't going to get there. Hosmer thought that off the bat. He knew it was a hit.
It was the running back to second base part that really was confusing with Cronenworth, like he thought Dom had caught the ball.
Well, not only that, even if he hadn't caught it, well, if he caught it, was he going to tag up? I mean, you're not going to tag up there. Just Cronenworth, who's a very good base runner, not good base running there.
So that is the second hit this season against Jacob DeGrom with a runner in scoring position. That's in 9 starts. How's that possible?
Well, he's going to have to break out 2018 here, where he was so good with the bases loaded.
Will Myers grounded out to short his first time up. Mets play halfway on the middle infield. And a fastball on the corner for a strike. Myers worked a 9-pitch at bat in the second inning before grounding out to Lindor. 2 hits sandwiching an error, loading the bases with 1 out. And the changeup misses down. A ball and a strike to Myers. Myers has a home run in his career against DeGrom, 4 for 20. You see his bases loaded numbers.
His first approach to his first at bat was to hit the ball to right field. Let's see if Myers tries to do it again.
And he takes a changeup for a strike, and it's 1-2.
Interesting. Not a good pitch. It was a slider, just a hanger right in the middle of the plate. A backup kind of slider, and it fools Myers like he never saw it.
It's that pitch that you throw completely at odds with how you intend it, and it winds up having a positive result. 1-2 coming. Struck him out. DeGrom needing a strikeout, gets a strikeout. His 5th of the night, and now they're at 2 away.
It's the little things. One, DeGrom taking care of business against Myers, making the perfect slider after he hung one and got a called strike. And the inability for the Padres to run the bases a little better on that Hosmer hit. Cronenworth, I'm sure, would want that back.
Still shaking his head a little bit. So now it's left to Tucupita Marcano, the rookie left fielder, with the bases loaded and 2 out. He had a dribbler to the right side that DeGrom made a nice pickup of to end the second inning. And that back foot slider misses for ball 1.
Nito's going to have to get into his brain that when he calls a slider, he cannot backhand it. The bases are loaded in this game.
Cronenworth at third, Tatis at second, Hosmer at first with 2 down. And Marcano lines one the other way, foul. He was late enough on that fastball that he almost got himself a double.
These are the guys that sometimes can prove to be the most difficult. Why? Because you have no idea how to get them out. You know what the scouting report says. But you're believing something that you yourself have no knowledge of.
So I guess you just have to go with what you do best.
Yes. Yeah, you pitch to your strengths. Young hitters, I used to always try to err on breaking pitches. That's the last thing they learn.
Well, he laid off the first slider, then fouled off the fastball. Now it's 1-1 to Marcano, who is 7 for 41 in his rookie season. Just 21 years old. And Marcano fouls off a fastball, and it's 1-2.
Beat him there. In these situations, maybe someday we'll have the ability to do it. I'd love to know what the heart rate of these great pitchers are when the bases are loaded in these situations. I'll tell you, DeGrom would be one of the lowest.
It's only the second batter he's faced with the bases loaded this year. Ahead 1-2 on Marcano. He holds the swing on the slider, and he stopped it in time. Quinn Walcott with the call. 2-2.
Sometimes a pitch is so nasty that a hitter can't pull the trigger, and that's what happened to Marcano.
So now it's 2-2. And Marcano able to lay off again to run the count full. And that will put the base runners in motion. The merry-go-round will turn with Cronenworth at third, Tatis at second, Hosmer at first, all set to run.
Has he proven to you that he can lay off that slider so you have to change lanes and go to the fastball? Or do you stay with that slider because a young hitter wants to put the ball in play with the bases loaded? I think he goes back to the slider.
He's taken it 3 times already out of the strike zone. And he goes around on the half swing for strike 3. He laid off the first 3, but could not hold back on the last one, and DeGrom gets out of a bases loaded jam. Strikeouts in those 4 innings.
Well, it's been like as advertised before the game. We said you're going to see a lot of breaking balls, occasional fastball when he gets you 2 strikes, but he has been precise. After the first inning, did not really have his breaking ball then. Since then, it's been pretty unhittable. He's been pretty unhittable all year long.
Well, Musgrove, over his last 4 appearances now, has thrown 20 2/3 scoreless innings, 2 walks, 28 strikeouts. It's the year of the pitcher.
It is the year of the pitcher.
And the pitcher at the plate. Jacob DeGrom takes a cut at a changeup and misses, 0-1. So, over an 8-start span, DeGrom is the first pitcher in history with an ERA under 1 and a batting average of .450 or better. That probably doesn't surprise you.
No.
There's a lot of firsts on his ledger this year. Have you noticed?
And it's not going to stop. At the end of the year, we're going to look at this season like we looked at Gibson's season. Knock on wood, health.
Jose Peraza on deck. Then Billy McKinney for the Mets in the 5th against Musgrove. And he ties him up on the slider, and he went around 1-2.
Jake didn't like that.
And I wonder also, remember, he's coming off that tightness in his side. That check swing doesn't help.
No, he's all right. He just was angry at that they called the check swing.
And again, he checks the swing, and this time Hunter Wendelstedt says he went around. And that's 9 punch-outs for Musgrove. 1 out and nobody on. For more on Joe Musgrove, let's check in with Michelle.
Thanks, Gary. Well, you alluded to it earlier. Joe Musgrove is having the best season of his career to this point, and I asked him why that was, and he said he has completely changed his approach when it comes to his visualization technique. He's a very laid-back Southern California kid. He always looks on the bright side of life. He always used to be very positive, going through all of the ways that he could succeed in a game. And he said that's his baseline, that's who he is. But now he actually does the opposite. The night before a game, he runs through every possible scenario that's bad. First inning, bases loaded, nobody out. That way, when it happens, he's ready for it because he's already lived through it, and it helps him succeed and be more calm in sticky situations. And actually, guys, I tried this visualization technique last night. I thought, what's the worst thing that could go wrong tomorrow? And I thought, okay, a Steve Gelb's montage, and then Mets fans see what they're missing. And then it came true, and I wasn't prepared for it.
That's great.
But see, you were able to bounce back with the bases loaded and get the big out there.
That's right.
Nicely done.
I don't know if that's right.
0-2 to Peraza, and he lays off the slider, 1-2.
Well, it was interesting. We heard the other day about Pete Alonso, who's spending a lot of time pondering things in the box, closing his eyes. The visualization of success and what you're going to do. It's very commonplace in baseball now.
Peraza gets one to hit. It hits it deep to left. Back at the wall is Marcano. It's out of here. Jose Peraza with his 3rd home run of the season, and the Mets jump in front 1-0 in the 5th. Peraza out of the 9th spot in the batting order. He had just 1 hit in his previous 17 at-bats, but he got a breaking ball in the middle of the plate, and he made no mistake.
We talked to you before Game 1 and said there's horses for courses. 28 for 81 coming into Game 1, 346 average. Jose Peraza has at this ballpark. For whatever reason, he sees it right, and he puts this ball over the wall.
7th home run Musgrove has allowed this year. And so the Mets get the advantage here in the 5th. First time the Mets have led in this series. And McKinney takes a slider for a strike.
Don't tell me that a pitcher getting out of a big jam and your best pitcher and the best pitcher in the game doesn't inspire the offense to concentrate a little more keenly. I've seen it, lived it.
Well, this team is always focused on trying to reward DeGrom for his utter excellence, and so often they've come up wanting. That when they do score for him, it's got to be a huge relief. It's almost sometimes as though they squeeze the bat too hard when Jake is pitching.
Every pitcher he faces, it's a shot at the title, so they're always at their best when they're facing the Mets and DeGrom.
And, of course, Musgrove has been on a roll, so that only enhances that. He had gone 20 2/3 innings without allowing a run before Peraza took him deep.
Thank you for dropping that, by the way. Very good work.
What do you mean?
Sure, 20 2/3. You mentioned that. That was
Are you saying there was some connection between the mention and the home run?
Well, that's what I've heard. I don't know.
You know. If I were that prescient, we'd all be in Vegas. 3-2 now to McKinney, or at least on some gambling app somewhere.
You and I would be in New Zealand. I think we've talked about this already.
Somewhere up with the sheep. Francisco Lindor waiting on deck. McKinney led off the game with a double, then struck out in the 3rd, 1 for 2 tonight. Musgrove has walked 1. He struck out 9. And McKinney lofts one toward the left field line. Overcomes Marcano. 2 out. So 2 out and nobody on. And now Francisco Lindor has been up twice and struck out both times against Musgrove, swinging in the 1st, looking in the 3rd. Musgrove up to 81 pitches now. Since his no-hitter when he threw 112 pitches, they have been limiting him. He has not been up over 100 since then. Topped out at 96 since the no-hitter back in April.
But he is coming off a relief appearance of 5 innings, and it was no-hit relief appearance, so it was a great appearance. But that's unusual for a starting pitcher to be injected into the bullpen like that.
Yeah, he was supposed to pitch on Monday, but they had a need on Sunday, and so he came on in long relief and went 5 hitless innings. Much like his no-hitter, he didn't walk anybody, but exactly like his no-hitter, he hit a batter in his 5 innings of no-hit ball against the Astros. That was the only base runner in the no-hitter when he hit Joey Gallo with a pitch in the 4th inning. First no-hitter in Padres history. They went even longer than the Mets did. Lindor cranks one to deep right field, but Myers looks up and it's out of here. Francisco Lindor with the Mets' 2nd home run of the inning, a line shot that clears the wall in right. His 5th home run of the year, and it's 2-0 New York.
This ball off the bat had so much top spin off that bat of Lindor. You didn't think that it was going to have enough to get out of this ballpark. But that shows you how strong the Mets shortstop is.
Well, the hits have been coming for Lindor. A matter of time before the home runs start arriving. Another hanging breaking ball from Musgrove.
So 2 hanging breaking balls have turned into 2 solo home runs for the Mets, and they've got some breathing room.
Peraza and now Lindor taking Musgrove deep. 2-0 New York, and now Alonso takes a cutter up high for ball 1. So after DeGrom got out of a huge jam in the bottom of the fourth, the Mets go deep twice against Musgrove in the fifth. And Alonso chases a high one, and it's 1-1. Pete has struck out and flied out 0 for 2.
Musgrove's arm angle has dropped a little. That's always a sign to me of fatigue.
86 pitches now. He had hard work to do in that last inning, threw 23 pitches in the fourth inning and 20 more here in the fifth. And Pete muscles one into center field for a base hit. Charged by Profar, and Pete will settle for a 2-out single. The Mets' third hit of the inning against Musgrove. That's the second hit Pete has had like that in this series. He got one against Melanson last night that he muscled into the outfield.
It's a bad cutter that stays inside, and we know how strong Pete is. Just knuckled it into left center field.
So a 2-out base runner for Dom Smith. That's now with 6 hits in the game, half of them in this inning. Dom has hit the ball hard twice tonight, lined out to center and then singled to center. Both balls hit over 100 miles an hour. And he takes a fastball that is in at the letters for a strike, 0-1. Full shift on against Dom, with Machado playing his customary medium right field. And he tries to lay off the slider, and he stopped it in time, and it's 1-1. Dom sat last night, appeared only as a pinch hitter, back in the lineup tonight, and he has appeared ready to go.
Lots of information for Tingler to get through. Jace Tingler, the manager of the Padres.
The third youngest manager in baseball. The second youngest is in the other dugout, Luis Rojas. Smith pops one up in foul ground. Who's going to get there? It's going to have to be Musgrove, and he can't. That is one of the downsides of the shift. You've got Tatis playing about 70 feet off the line, and he wasn't going to get there. Musgrove was the only guy in the neighborhood, and he couldn't make the play.
Whenever the ball is fouled by a left-handed batter, it'll start to creep back into play. So Musgrove overran it. I mean, how many plays has he had like this in his career? Maybe 2, 3?
Well, that's why they tell the pitchers to leave the pop-ups to somebody else. No error on the play, but it does prolong the time at bat. There's Machado out in shallow right field. And he didn't have anything to do with the play. That's where they asked him to play.
Yeah.
He'll probably get up before the pitch. One-two coming from Musgrove, and Dom goes around in the half swing for strike 3. 10th strikeout for Musgrove, but the Mets with a pair of long balls from Peraza and Lindor to give DeGrom a 2-0 lead. Mets 2019 first-round pick Brett Beatty gives his own personal scouting report. Scouting report is he's really good.
I'm good, yeah.
And discusses playing ball with other Mets top prospects on SNY's digital series Mets Perspective, presented by Verizon. Check it out now on SNY.TV. Jacob DeGrom with a lead to work with for the first time tonight. We'll get 9-1-2 in the San Diego batting order. Victor Caratini leads off. And takes a changeup low and away for ball 1. So according to the great Sarah Langs, over the first 4 innings, Jake has thrown 10 pitches of 101 or better. There have now been 4 instances in Major League history since they started pitch tracking in 2008 where a pitcher's thrown 10 or more pitches at 101. Giordano Ventura did it once. Noah Syndergaard did it once. Jacob DeGrom has now done it twice in his last 2 starts.
Wow.
He's in a world of his own. Last inning, he had to work through trouble. Bases loaded, 1 out. He struck out Myers and Marcano to get through it. And now Caratini takes a changeup off the plate, and it's 2-1. Joe Musgrove is out on deck. He's already thrown 91 pitches in 5 innings, and there's nobody throwing in the San Diego bullpen, so apparently they want Musgrove to go a little further. And And Caratini muscles one into center field. And over to left center comes Dom to get it. 1 out. And now Musgrove will take the turn at bat. A little surprised by this?
I am surprised by it, but I guess they're going to try to get one more inning out of him. You know, remember, when you're looking at their bullpen tonight, Melanson might be down.
Right.
He's not gone 3 straight all year. Pierce Johnson's thrown 65 pitches over the last 7 days. Emilio Pagan is probably their closer tonight.
So rather than try and get 3 or 4 innings out of their bullpen, they'll shorten it up a little bit by letting Musgrove take the turn at bat. Musgrove grounds it out to short in his first trip, and he flies this one foul off the right side.
He started that swing as soon as he left the on-deck circle.
But that's the only way to do it.
I agree. I would be doing the same thing. Swing hard in case you hit it.
Musgrove 1 for 18 this season. And he goes after a slider that was 3 feet off the plate, and it's 0-2. I guess he's in swing mode.
The hitters can't hit it either, so I wouldn't feel bad.
No, he couldn't hit it. 7 strikeouts now for DeGrom. So he's fanned 3 of the last 4 after his trouble in the 4th, and now trying for a shutdown inning after being granted the lead. He'll start his 3rd time through the batting order. Jerks and Profar making like an old-time leadoff hitter, lingering in the on-deck circle to give the pitcher a chance to sit down.
I mean, he didn't overexert himself. He just swung the bat 3 times. You know what's interesting about how you play games with yourself, Gary, when you're on the mound. You really were thinking about, okay, got to get Profar out here. I want Machado leading off an inning. I don't want him coming up with anyone on base.
And Profar cues one off the end of the bat to Peraza, and that retires the side. That was the 2nd curveball of the season for Jacob DeGrom. Threw 1 in his last start. Shutdown inning, 2-0. Abraham Almonte with a home run for the Braves. Got him to take the spot of Marcelo Zuna in left field. Kevin Pillar leads off in the 6th inning against Joe Musgrove. Pillar's grounded out and struck out 0 for 2. Musgrove has struck out 10 tonight. DeGrom has struck out 7. If it sounds like a rarity, it really is. If you go back the last 25 starts for DeGrom, not counting one where he left because of injury after 2 innings. Other than that, the other last 25 starts, never has a pitcher had more, starting pitcher that he's opposed had more strikeouts than he's had. The last time it happened was in September of 2019 when he faced Max Scherzer, and Scherzer struck out 7 and Jake had 6.
That's no surprise.
Yeah. But even that was a low strikeout game for both guys. Musgrove, 6th time in his career he struck out 10 or more, and 4 of those 6 have come this year. Jake getting ready for his turn at bat. He's due up 5th in the inning. Outside to Pilar, 2-2. And remember that DeGrom, his last 2 starts, has been tethered somewhat because of the stint on the injured list through 5 innings and then 6 innings. Just 70 pitches in his last start. Well, he's got the tether off tonight as Pilar pokes one foul. So he's at 58 pitches through 5 innings. He could get very deep into this game. Musgrove, meanwhile, at 96 pitches, that matches the most he's thrown in any start other than his no-hitter when he threw 112. And so Tim Hill, the lefty, is up in the bullpen.
Every day, Tim Hill.
He's only appeared once in the series.
He seems like he's up every game.
He got yesterday off.
He's got the most appearances for that Padres bullpen.
Blake Snell took his inning yesterday.
Yes, he did.
And Pilar pokes one the other way for a base hit. Well, he was able to stay alive by fouling off a breaking ball away, and this time it got a little more of the plate, and Pilar has an opposite field single.
Not a bad breaking ball. Off the plate away, but just in protect mode was Pilar. And nice piece of hitting.
Snaps an 0 for 13 stretch for Kevin. And gives the Mets a leadoff base runner for just the second time today. And now Nito, who struck out and walked, 0 for 1. Saw the mask Pilar was putting on, the form-fitting mask. Nito pops one up foul. It'll come back out of play. Pilar said they used 3D imaging to create that mask, which fits right on his face like another layer of skin. Hey, it's midnight. Happy Sunday.
Oh, jeez.
When's the next time we get to do one of these 10 o'clock starts?
Can't wait.
Probably when team goes to L.A., right? L.A., San Francisco? Is that in August? Can't wait.
That 4:30 to 6:30 sleep time is, I only have one more day of that.
I have really gotten good at the afternoon nap this week.
You have?
Check in at about 3:30, get up around 5.
Jealous.
Refreshes you for the long night ahead. Nito gets jammed but punches it the other way for a base hit. Pilar on his way to third, run down by Myers, and the Mets have runners at the corners with nobody out. A little inside-out beauty for Tomas Nito, and the Mets have something working here in the 6th.
Well, both you and I thought that Musgrove was tired. Jace Tingler tried to steal one more inning out of him, and the first two hitters got on. Pilar with a good piece of hitting to right field. Nito more of a inside-out swing that kind of found the line. A more fortunate hit, but a big hit.
You're allowed to say lucky. So Musgrove out. Tim Hill coming in. Mets with the 2-0 lead and looking for more in the 6th. We'll be right back. Keith joins Doug Williams to discuss the successful return of Pete Alonso to the lineup and the struggles of David Peterson on the latest Shea Anything podcast presented by Verizon. Subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Mets have first and third and nobody out, up 2-0 in the 6th, and with the lefty Tim Hill coming into the game.
Well, you see his Land Rover numbers. He's appeared in more games than anyone else in that Padre bullpen. Game 1, he came in, walked the first hitter, but wiggled out of trouble and got out of the inning.
Luis Rojas sends up Jonathan Villar to bat for Travis Blankenhorn with the lefty in the game. Villar, who has not started the last 3 games because of a tight hamstring, pinch hit last night and grounded out. And Luis said before the game that Villar could not only pinch hit but stay in the game after he does tonight. And so he is the call here in the 6th inning with Pilar at third and Nito at first. And Villar fouls one back into the screen, and it's 0-2. Villar had a 2-hit game Wednesday in Arizona, but that's the game he had to come out of. And he's had just the 1 at bat since. He had started 27 straight games before that hamstring tightened up. Hill making his second appearance in the series. Villar stronger from the right side than the left. And he fouls back the fastball from Hill, 0-2. So Joe Musgrove threw 99 pitches, second highest pitch count of the year. 5 innings plus, 8 hits, the 2 runs so far, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts, 2 home runs. DeGrom hitting 8th in the order on deck, and then Jose Peraza as the Mets look to add on here in the 6th. Back-to-back base hits by Pilar and Nito ending Musgrove's night. And Villar watches the fastball sail up and away, 1-2. Tim Hill, 31 years old. Out of Cohen College in Muskogee, Oklahoma.
I've heard of that college.
You have?
Yeah, I think it was, I could be wrong, but I remember it being set up for like the tribal nations there in Muskogee in the day. I don't know where I read it. Please don't look it up and tell me I'm wrong. No, please.
I just want to know how a kid from Mission Hills, California, ended up at Cohen College in Muskogee, Oklahoma. Hit hard, up the middle, base hit for VR. Pilar comes in to score. 3 straight hits for New York. VR with a pinch hit single, and it's 3-0 Mets. So VR back from the hamstring injury. Pounds out a base hit to get a run home.
Looked like all fastballs from Hill, and this a bullet up the middle that no one could feel. Cronenworth with the attempt, but not even close because of the ball and how it was hit.
112 miles an hour off the bat. That's the hardest hit ball in this game for VR.
He plays for New York, by the way.
Yes,
VR.
he does. It's the greatest road uniform.
Yes, it is. Big league.
Now DeGrom. And no hint of a bunt with the corners pinched in against him. He takes a slider out of the strike zone. Jake has grounded out and struck out tonight. Figured with a lefty on the mound, maybe they'd ask him to bunt, but not on the first pitch.
I don't even want him up against this guy. Scares me with his wildness.
And now he's asked to bunt, and he comes up empty, and it's 1-1. Jake didn't seem like his heart was in that.
It was like in the day when they would ask me to bunt against Randy Johnson when he was first coming up with the Expos. I'm like, really? I don't think so.
You were like Kruk in the All-Star game.
Oh.
Got to go back to swinging here. And he hits one on the ground. Tatis with the flip. Cronenworth the turn, not in time. Jake's just too fast. That gets Nito over to third with 1 out. So it's a 6-4 fielder's choice for the first out of the inning.
That'll work.
Well, he's shown off his fielding skills. He shows off his running skills. We know all about his pitching and hitting skills.
He knew he had it.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Is there anybody, do you think, in the game, pitcher or position player, who runs that fast with strides that long? I'll say Peraza takes a strike.
No.
Trying to think of tall players with long legs who stride like that. Shohei Ohtani, maybe?
Ohtani's really fast. Ohtani's faster than DeGrom, but he doesn't have the same stride.
His stride isn't as long, right? 1-1 to Peraza. Ohtani, by the way, 10 strikeouts last night. Home run his first time up today.
Mockery of the game.
Peraza homered for the first run of this game. That came in the 5th. That's got a home run from Lindor as well, and now a VR RBI hit. And Peraza watches wide, 2-1.
Remember, Hill got that big double play ball in the first game. That's what he's looking for here.
That was against Alonso with the bases loaded in the 6th inning on Thursday night.
He's going to have to take that hat out of play soon.
You think?
Yeah.
2-2 to Peraza. Well, the report is that they're going to start cracking down on all of the sticky substances, that they're going to examine pitchers as they come out of games or as they walk off the mound at the end of an inning to try and put a full court press on against all the goo that is causing the spin rates to explode.
That's a good way of putting it.
Peraza breaks his bat and just hits it foul. Thought that ball might fall in along the line, but it cracked his bat and he'll go back for a new one. Well, I was reading Travis Sawchuk's article about all of the sticky stuff, and he introduced a product that I had never heard of, Spider Tack, which apparently is very big with the World's Strongest Man competition crowd.
That's right.
To make sure they don't drop the tree trunks.
Travis went all George Plimpton on us.
Yeah.
Paper lion.
Well, apparently he was able to increase his spin rate significantly, even throwing 55 miles an hour. Peraza goes down swinging on the high fastball, and that's the second out. So Hill bounces back. Gets Peraza.
This fastball up in the strike zone. After all those fastballs down on the knees from Hill, he was able to elevate and get that strikeout. Good pitching.
So now 2 out. Runners still at the corners for Billy McKinney, who doubled back in the first, since then has struck out and flied out. And now facing the left-hander. McKinney's hung in well against lefties so far. He's hitting just under 250 against them. He drew a walk against Snell last night, the only batter that Snell walked. Hitting in the leadoff spot tonight for the first time as a Met. He led off quite a bit for Toronto. 36th time in his career he's led off. And Hill gets the fastball over for a strike. Nito at third, DeGrom at first with 2 down. And McKinney shoots one foul, 1-2.
See McKinney's approach. He's really just trying to concentrate on, if the ball's away, trying to hit it that way off Hill. Tough at bat.
Tim Hill in relief of Joe Musgrove. Gets McKinney with the up and in fastball. And the inning is over. Mets, though, had a run on Villar's pinch hit RBI single. DeGrom now up 3-0 going to the bottom of the 6th. Watch SNY Mets games on any device. Just visit SNY.TV or download the NBC Sports app today for live streaming coverage of every SNY Mets game. Anybody want to buy a checked shirt? You know, somebody who's not familiar with our broadcasts might tune in right about now and see 2 of Steve Gelb's checked shirts hanging on the clothesline in our alternate booth and think, what exactly am I tuning into here? I thought I was turning on a baseball game. Instead, I've got a laundry show.
I mean, usually when you're at home, if you're channel surfing for a sports game, right? You're channel surfing, boom, boom, boom. Oh, I don't know what that is. Okay, that's got to be the merchandise show. Boom.
It's like they turn on QVC.
Yes.
And we're selling checked shirts.
No bidders yet.
Well, I hope he's doing okay because, you know, that's not the image that you want to take to the bank.
It's next too skinny for the V-neck. He's really got to go for the crew neck. But that's neither here nor there.
I think that's enough of that conversation. Keep telling him to go with the blazer. Manny Machado leads off against DeGrom in the home 6th inning. And he dots the outside corner at the knees, 0-1. Jonathan Villar stays in at third base. Jose Peraza moves to second base. So the Mets have their normal infield out there now. It's what has become their normal infield in the absence of McNeil and Davis and Guillorme. It's funny how you get used to certain situations being the norm, right? The Mets are still missing half of their lineup. Right? There's no Nimmo, there's no Conforto, there's no McNeil, there's no Davis. Guillorme, who was Davis's backup, still not there. Almora, who was Nimmo's backup. I mean, all those guys are still out.
But this game has always been such, Gary. When you have the best pitcher in the game on the mound, you can be the best team in the game.
1-2 coming to Machado. Struck him out. Third time he's gotten him with a fastball just off the outside corner. It's been a good formula for DeGrom against Machado, who strikes out for the third time.
He's got him talking to himself, and he hasn't really missed the spot against Machado all evening long. Everything has been in a tin cup on that outside part of the plate. What do? Even the greatest can't catch up to that.
8 strikeouts tonight for DeGrom. And now Cronenworth, who had a base hit his last time up. With the 8 strikeouts tonight, DeGrom has tied Sid Fernandez for 4th on the all-time list. One more, and he can set his sights on Jerry Kuzma. You ever hear from Sid?
I do. Every once in a while, I get a call from him. Man, a few words. But
Howie Rose always said in the days when he was doing the post-game interview,
yeah,
he said, if Sid ever pitches a perfect game, I'm talking to the catcher.
Sid he was unbelievably shy.
He's the nicest guy in the world.
The nicest.
He's just not a man of many words.
And sneaky, crazy athletic. Could do a lot of things.
He could hit.
One of the best hitters. He picked up golf later in life, and he became one of the better golfers.
And he had such an unusual delivery. They said of Sid, it was like he was pitching uphill. Yep. And a letter high strike to Cronenworth, 2-2.
That's that ugly breaking ball that now is called by the umpires because they're so cognizant of making sure that that high pitch is called a strike. In the day, a bad breaking ball was always called the ball, but now it'll sometimes be called a strike because it's within that rectangle we give you.
Well, one of these days, there will not be men with masks and chest protectors calling balls and strikes. There will be robot umps. And those days are not far away. All they have to do is perfect the technology, which they're trying out in the minor leagues this year, after having used it in the Atlantic League. Breaking ball hit on the ground into the shift, and Peraza is there to throw out Cronenworth 2 away. So since the bases were loaded against DeGrom in the 4th inning on 2 singles and an error, Jake has retired 7 in a row, striking out 4 of the 7. He's gotten a lead to work with, and he's set the cruise control to 85. Or maybe 101.
He tied Sid there, or did he go ahead, Sid? He tied Sid, right?
Sid, yep.
In approximately 358 less innings.
Here's Tatis, who has doubled and reached on an error, and lays off for ball 1. Tatis 4 for 10 in this series. His OPS is over 1,000 at home. It's over 1,000 on the road. Since he came up in 2019, Tatis, who is now just 22 years old, is almost leading the world, or the National League anyway, in OPS.
Yelich has been on the disabled list a couple times this year.
Although he's starting to come around.
Yes, he is.
With a new bat. He's got a blonde bat now. I mean, his trademark was that black bat for so long, and he came back and went to a blonde bat, hit a home run the other night, hit another one today. 3-0 for DeGrom.
He'll be swinging.
This is his first 3-ball count of the night. And he walked him on 4 pitches. And Jake was not happy about that. Only his 8th walk of the season, coming in his 9th start. 8 walks, 90 strikeouts. So a 2-out base runner for the Padres.
Just lost it there for one batter. But that one batter happened to be the best player on the planet, maybe.
Better to lose it that way than by throwing it down the middle. So now Hosmer, who flared a single in front of Dom Smith in left field his last time up. That was the hit that loaded up the bases. Tatis takes off, and no throw by Nito. DeGrom didn't pay Tatis any mind, figuring maybe that he wouldn't run with a 3-run deficit, but he took off first pitch for his 13th stolen base.
He is bold with a capital B when he's on the bases. Big, huge jump. No chance for Nito.
It's been proven before that you can steal bases late in the game down by multiple runs and be successful if you pick the right spots.
It's 5 out of the strike zone now.
Never forget the Kansas City Royals against John Lester.
Yeah. Wild card game.
Down 6-2 in the 8th inning, and they started running.
2014.
Right. Of course, they had Terrence Gore on that team. They had Gerard Dyson on that team. And they could run.
Alex Gordon ran a lot those days.
1-1 to Hosmer, who's 1 for 2 tonight. That was only the second stolen base that Jake's given up this year. A couple of years ago, he was becoming very vulnerable to the steal, but really tightened up his work against the running game. A lot of longer holds and such. And Hosmer fouls off the slider, and it's 2-2.
Doesn't like his fastball this much this inning after Machado. It was so pure against Machado, and then here against Tatis, and now Hosmer's gone primarily slider.
Looked like he lost his line against Tatis. He threw that fastball that he yanked for ball 4, and he stayed away from it against Hosmer.
Hosmer's always been vulnerable up with the fastball when you've got him 2 strikes.
Tatis at second and 2 out. And he chases the slider for strike 3. That's 9 strikeouts for DeGrom. And he passes Sid Fernandez on the Mets all-time list. Now 4th all-time. 3-0 Mets after 6. Let's check out the T-Mobile coverage cam. Good coverage of the Jose Peraza home run that broke the scoring ice tonight. That came with 1 out in the 5th inning. Then 2 batters later, Francisco Lindor cranked one of his own. His 5th of the year. And there is your T-Mobile coverage cam. Complete with forearm bash. Jacob DeGrom, 6 scoreless innings under his belt, 77 pitches, the most he's thrown since coming back from the injured list. So we'll see how far he'll go tonight. Meanwhile, the Padres go to their 3rd pitcher of the game. Right-hander Austin Adams comes in. Adams, who began his career with the Nationals, deals to Lindor and gets the first slider in for a strike.
Got a little 3/4 arm action. He's got a slider that they call the loud earth-shattering slider. Throws it 90% of the time, and he might hit you.
9 hit batsman this year, leads the National League in only 19 innings.
So look for the slider, but he could hit you.
Still hurts. And he backdoors that slider for a strike, and it's 0-2. Austin Adams, 30 years old, a University of South Florida Bull. Originally drafted by the Angels back in 2012 in the 8th round. Now a mainstay in the San Diego bullpen. And he strikes out Lindor on 3 sliders for the first out. There are not that many relief pitchers who use a full windup of that ilk.
Yeah, that's right. Hand over his head. Nasty slider.
Well, Lindor with a home run tonight, struck out in his other 3 at-bats. Mets have now struck out 13 times of their 19 outs. Alonso, one of those back in the 1st inning against Joe Musgrove, who fanned 10. And he goes around on a slider off the plate.
It is loud and earth-shattering.
It reminds me a little bit of the Jeff Nelson Frisbee.
It's a good call. Very good call.
Now, you don't think of a Frisbee as being earth-shattering, but I have friends who play Ultimate, and they'll tell you Frisbee is the most earth-shattering piece of sports equipment on earth. Five pitches, 5 sliders, 5 strikes from Adams. And Alonso makes contact and fouls it off. Dom Smith on deck. That's in a stretch where they're playing 7 out of 9 games against the Padres, who won a couple of tight games the last 2 nights. Mets trying to scratch in this series tonight. Final game of the series tomorrow afternoon. Or this afternoon, depending on your point of view. When does the next day really begin? Does it really begin at midnight? Or is it more of a 6, 7 a.m. thing? I mean, in a town like New York on a Saturday night, it's not really Sunday yet. It's still Saturday, even though it's after midnight.
Yeah, we're not quite there. But, yeah, if you asked me 2-3 years ago, it's still Saturday, bro.
1-2 coming, and Alonso shoots one foul.
And if you asked me 30 years ago, I would have said it's really early when Saturday.
Well, I mean, there was a time when, we saw 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning from the other end.
That's right, boy. Those days are done.
But, there are a lot of people out right now who are just returning home and kept picking up the game in the 7th inning because they've been out for a nice Saturday night. Now that you can go out on a Saturday night.
Turned it on and got a shot of Steve Schertz.
And there's a rare fastball by Adams to strike out Alonso. Back-to-back strikeouts for Austin Adams. We're going to take you to a game break back in the studio where Chris Williamson is up late with us. Chris. Don't see a lot of home runs go there. I remember Gary Sanchez hit one against the Mets last year that went up into that part of the stands at Yankee Stadium. Bobby Dahlbeck's got some serious power.
Yes, he does. Got off to a slow start, but he's coming on.
Dom Smith's hit 2 balls hard tonight, a line out to center and a single to center. He's 1 for 3 and swings through the slider, and it's 1-2. Well, Austin Adams has thrown 11 pitches, and 10 of them have been sliders. He threw 1 fastball to strike out Alonso. That you can't ever look for, right?
That's right. Got to hit off the slider.
And that one bends in for a strike, and it's 1-2.
Happening to really enjoy watching this guy throw slider after slider. They had a pitcher that had a lot of success with a lot of sliders in their bullpen for many years. Luke Gregerson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Mets had one for quite a period of time, and he certainly made an impact. Turk Wendell.
Yeah.
He was the king of the slider. In addition to, slamming the Rosenberg and eating licorice and waving at his center fielder and all that stuff. I think Turk once pitched in 9 straight games for the Mets.
Really?
Yeah. And that one off the back foot of Dom Smith. And for the second time in this series, Dom has been hit in the foot by a pitch. Well, here's Saturday night in Times Square. See, it's still Saturday. It's not Sunday yet. Stuff's still happening.
A little break dancing. We'll take it. Wow.
It's just nice that the weather's nice and you can go maskless and watch some incredibly talented dancing. How do you do that? Man.
And the folks that live in Manhattan never see that part of the city, or very rarely do. He hit another batter, Gary, so look for the slider, but he could hit you.
10 hit batsmen in 19 2/3 innings. Leads the league. So you had to expect one, right? Yeah. You had to expect 90% sliders and at least one batter gets hit. So you've gotten the full package from Austin Adams. What it's hard to do is square him up. Nobody's hit a home run against him this year. And Pilar takes one at the knees for a strike, and it's 0-2. Pilar got a base hit to right field on a 2-strike breaking ball and scored the 3rd Met run that came in the 6th inning. DeGrom cooling his heels before taking the mound for the bottom of the 7th. He'll get 6, 7, and 8 in the order coming up. And that slider up and in. Almost had another one. 1-2.
No flinch from Pilar. Not a flinch.
It's pretty amazing.
Remarkable.
I mean, it's not too many guys who get hit in the face twice in their career.
Yeah. Well, he finished the game the first time he got hit in the face.
And merely hit in the chin.
Yeah.
Rather than having his nose altered. By the way, Jacob Webb has just returned to the Braves.
Oh, okay.
They had sent him down because he was clearly shaken after he hit Pilar. But, you know, Kevin reached out to him and I think has had multiple conversations with Jacob Webb since it happened. And hopefully he'll be okay. That seemed to be Kevin's biggest concern, was how the guy who hit him was feeling. Fouls off that slider. Love the Padre uniform with the swinging friar on the sleeve.
I know. I always think of Goose when I see that number.
54, yeah. Goose Gossage. He threw fastballs.
Yeah.
And that fastball fouled off.
Yeah, he didn't throw a lot of sliders, Goose, when he came into a game. I had the privilege of playing with Goose late in his career when he came over to the Oakland Athletics, and the nicest guy you'll never find. I always thought he was going to be extremely mean and mean-spirited.
Well, you can get him agitated talking about the state of the game.
But he is the sweetest dude in the world.
20th pitch of the inning coming from Adams to Pilar, and that one backs up inside, and it's 2-2. And Dom steals second base. Second stolen base of the year for Dom Smith, taking off on the 1-2 pitch.
Caratini, I think, thought it was a strike.
And Dom has snuck a couple of stolen bases on this road trip.
The Padres fell asleep.
So now runner in scoring position for Pilar with 2 out.
See, DeSascino, that move telling Dom to take a bigger lead.
2-2 coming. And the slider popped up into shallow right. Will Myers comes in under it. And that retires the side. Tonight's 7th inning stretch is brought to you by Ford and the fully electric F-150 Lightning. Let's take a look at it. To the bottom of the 7th. Jake has walked 1. He's struck out 9, allowed no runs and 3 hits. 3 starts since returning from the injured list now. He's worked 17 innings, allowed 1 run.
3 of the 6 innings tonight have been of the 1-2-3 variety. He could use one right here.
Fell a little out of sync in that last inning in the 6th. Got the first 2 hitters, but then a 4-pitch walk to Tatis, and then finally struck out Hosmer after a bit of a struggle after Tatis stole second. Now he'll get Will Myers leading off in the home 7th. Myers has grounded out and struck out 0 for 2. And a first pitch slider that he swings over, 0-1. Tucupita Marcano on deck, and then Victor Caratini for the Padres in the 7th. And he gets ahead on Myers, 0-2. DeGrom has struck out 9 tonight. Make it 10. The 50th time in Jacob DeGrom's career that he has struck out 10 or more batters.
Myers went up looking for the fastball. He got 3 straight sliders from DeGrom. Free and easy, perfectly spotted with each one. You know, I tend to think that people just feel as though pitch counts dictate the strength or weakness of a pitcher. without taking into account that fourth inning took a lot out of the DeGroms, who see the most games with 10-plus Ks Mets history. Boy, sneaking up on Seaver again.
Might break that by the end of the year. It's his fourth this year. Broken bat grounder. Peraza sidles over in front of it. 2 out.
And I think you really saw it in the 6th inning that toll kind of got to Jacob DeGrom, and he was out of sorts that inning. But in between innings, you can sit there and you kind of regroup and you think about the checklist of getting it back to where this guy always seems to find.
Now Victor Caratini, who's been up twice, flied out to left both times. And a change up at the knees for a strike, 0-1. Tommy Pham is out on deck. He'll pinch hit if Caratini keeps the inning going. Jake's given up 3 hits tonight. The last one came in the 4th. Since then, he's retired 10 of 11. Another change up gets him ahead of Caratini, 0-2. He's throwing his changeup so much firmer than in the past. I wonder if that's by design.
Nice shot there.
Seaver watching DeGrom. Like an angel on his shoulder. And Caratini down on 3 pitches. And DeGrom's got his 11th strikeout of the night. 7 scoreless for the master at his craft. 3-0 Mets. Anniversary today. It was 20 years ago today, on June the 5th, 2001, when the Mets, using a compensation pick that they got when Mike Hampton left as a free agent to go to Colorado, selected David Wright, a shortstop, 18 years old, from Hickory High School in Chesapeake, Virginia. And it turned out to be a pretty decent draft pick. All-time leader in hits, doubles, runs, RBIs, extra base hits, and 20 years ago, it's hard to believe. I remember the first time we met David Wright and what an incredibly mature person he was, and he proved to be every bit the superstar that you could ask for.
Yeah, and just exhibited such grace, not only when he was on top of the world and getting all those great big hits and delivering great defensive plays and coming in on those grounders barehanded and throwing to first, but also when he sustained his injuries, and he showed grace through that as he tried to come back.
And it was in this ballpark at Petco Park when he made one of the most incredible plays I have ever seen. That was in 2005. Running away from home plate on a broken bat bloop by Brian Giles, going out toward left field, reaching out, diving with his bare hand, and somehow coming up with the baseball.
What was his explanation for catching it barehanded?
It was on that side of his body. He couldn't have caught it with his glove.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was to his right as he was running out, and if he had tried to stretch across with his glove, he probably wouldn't have gotten it.
Because I remember the Kevin Mitchell catch, of course, right, in St. Louis for the Giants when he was playing left field.
Right. Nabil Crismot is on to pitch for San Diego, rookie from Colombia. Oh, we've got the video.
That happened here, right?
Brian Giles, yep, at Petco Park.
Wow.
I mean, how many guys can make that play?
I haven't seen that play that often, I mean, I've seen it, but I have not seen that play that often. Sure would have been like to have been calling that game when it happened.
Ito strikes out. And there's the first out in the 8th. For more on David Wright, let's check in with Michelle Margot. Michelle?
Thanks, Gary. Well, here's a little story for you. Back in 2004, about a month before David Wright made his major league debut, he actually called his agent, who also represented Scott Rowland, called Mets PR extraordinaire Jay Horwitz to ask if he could attend the 2004 All-Star Game, solely so he could go to the National League clubhouse to pick Rowland's brain about being a big leaguer. And Jay said yes. He created a fake press pass for the Virginia Pilot newspaper just to get him in the clubhouse. And then minor leaguer David Wright went on his merry way, pulled Rowland aside, and talked to him for about an hour just so he could prepare for what to expect when he got called up about a month later. And that's just the kind of guy that David Wright was and is, guys.
Attention to detail, right, for David, his entire career. And what a guy you picked to talk to.
Yeah, he also gives you an idea about Scott Rowland, that he would devote an hour to a kid that he didn't even know. Grounded down to first by VR. And Hosmer with the toss to Krismot for the out. I talk about this all the time. People say, what's your greatest memory of David Wright? And I have a million of them, but it all goes back to that first press conference when he was first drafted, and he stood there at the podium like somebody twice his age and just exuded a personality and a confidence that very few have ever shown.
My memory, because I didn't know until I came here to work the games with you and Keith, was 2006 when they got into the postseason, and the utter joy that was on his face. Just I don't know. It really hit me that how important this was to him. Like, postseason was the whole deal.
Jacob DeGrom's night is done. Brandon Drury batting for DeGrom in the top of the 8th. So Jake goes 7 scoreless tonight. Strikes out 11, walks 1, allows just 3 hits.
Almost afraid to shake Jake's hand. Like, you don't want to squeeze it too hard. You don't. Yeah, just a little hug. That's nice.
His ridiculous earned run average drops to 0.62 with the 7 scoreless innings tonight. I mean, when you think of great seasons in baseball history, as that's flared to right by Drury, and that's going to fall for a base hit. So Brandon Drury with a 2-out pinch hit single. You think about Bob Gibson.
Yes.
In 1968, the year of the pitcher. He had a 1.12 ERA, and that is pretty much the modern standard. I mean, Jake right now is half a run better than Gibson through the first third of the season.
And if you think about it, just in the way the game has changed, Gibson was going to be out there come hell or high water. He's going to be out there, right? What do you have? 9 shutouts that season,
9
maybe
shutouts,
more.
28 complete games.
Yeah, something crazy, right?
Actually, I think it was 13
shutouts.
Yeah.
You're right. But with Jake, it's going to be anywhere between 18 to 21 outs per game.
Right, and that makes it harder to keep your ERA that low, because if you go up 2 runs, your ERA explodes.
Yeah, he's not going to get in that 250 area, right?
So here's what Jake accomplished tonight by giving up no runs tonight. He has now given up either 1 or no earned runs in 9 straight starts to start the season. First pitcher in history ever to do that.
Never been done.
Throwing 16 straight scoreless innings tonight. He had the one difficult inning where they loaded the bases with 1 out, and over the course of his career, it's really where Jake has done his best work, and that was true again tonight. Billy McKinney on deck. Jose Peraza at the plate. He delivered the first run for the Mets in DeGrom tonight with a home run in the 5th inning, his 3rd of the year. And Krismot walks him, and the Mets have 2 men on. So Krismot, after retiring the first 2, has given up a blue pit and a walk. And Billy McKinney will bat with 2 men on.
That was a great look by Krismot. It's just like, whatever. We'll get the next guy. I've been asked by many people about this year and things that are happening. And, the one thing I've said to everybody, I wouldn't be surprised if all the records that you think are near and dear, that they all go down.
Pitching records.
Yes.
Well, certainly every year, strikeout totals go up. And virtually every month over the last 15 years, strikeout totals have gone up. So the plateaus are different. But, people compare this year to 1968, and rightly so because of the batting averages.
Yeah.
But there are a lot more home runs in the game now than there were in 1968. So while I think it's perfectly possible that a record like strikeouts per 9 innings could fall, I think it's less likely on a grand scale for a pitcher to have a Gibson-type ERA.
Yeah.
I mean, DeGrom is operating in a different universe as far as the long ball is concerned than Gibson did. And Jake has done a great job of controlling the long ball. 58 innings, 3 home runs allowed. And he's only given up 4 earned runs in 9 starts, which is just ridiculous. Curveball misses outside to McKinney, and it's 2-1. Now, I think the big unanswered question for DeGrom, and really for every other starting pitcher this year, is coming off the short season last year. Is there going to be a wall that pitchers hit this season?
No one will know.
That's right, because nobody's been through this before. Drury at second, Peraza at first, and McKinney takes a changeup for a strike, 2-2.
Or will revitalize a pitcher like Buster Posey has been revitalized from not playing all season last year, that not throwing that many innings gives you more on the other side of your career.
But I don't know if the first third of the season is going to be representative of what we see through the last 2/3 of the season.
Of course.
For hitters or for pitchers. Who knows? McKinney golfs one foul.
I don't think many teams can afford to do this. But I would, if I were in charge of pitchers on a team, I would look every single time to get them a day.
Well, that's what the Padres are doing right now. They're running out a 6-man rotation strictly to make sure that nobody gets overworked. The Mets, if they were to do that, would probably still keep DeGrom on his regular day as much as possible, because you want to maximize the number of times that you have the best pitcher in the game on the mound, but you also don't want to burn him out. McKinney lofts one in the air to right field. Myers back onto the warning track right near the jury box to make the catch. That little jury box short porch in right field beckoning McKinney, who just came up short. Seth Lugo coming in, 3-0 New York. SNY Play Ball, presented by Toyota, is back, looking to help local football leagues in need continue play in 2021. Providing grants, clinics, and equipment donations. Right now we're accepting applications. If you know a local football league in need, apply today at sny.tv/playball. Coming up tonight after the postgame show, Geico Sports Night, all the basketball and hockey, and of course the baseball as well. Mets trying to get a game in this series after dropping the first 2, and DeGrom hands off to Lugo.
Well, this is Lugo's first appearance on Wednesday against the Diamondbacks when he gave up a run in a couple of innings of work. So back out there for his second appearance. He looked great, by the way.
Tommy Pham came in on a double switch last half inning, and he takes a fastball inside from Lugo. Pham, then Profar and Machado for the Padres. DeGrom went 7, allowed no runs, 3 hits, 1 walk, 11 strikeouts, 85 pitches, ERA down to 0.62. As Lugo picks off the knee-high fastball, and it's 1-1. And the changeup misses. 2 balls and a strike to Pham. Lugo was warming up at one point last night and looked as though the Mets were going to tie the game and then they were going to bring Lugo in, but they didn't tie the game, so they didn't bring him in, and they sat him down. And once he went full bore like that, as Pham loses his bat, once he went full bore like that, they couldn't get him back up again. And they have to be careful with Lugo in that fashion, coming off the elbow surgery, but also the partial tear he's had in his elbow the last few years.
I don't remember seeing the radar gun when you guys were in Arizona when I was watching the game. What was he throwing, Gary? Do you remember?
You know, he varies so much with his fastball.
He
was 92 to 97 in that game.
Yeah, he's been 92, 93 here.
And Pham gets a 95, but he lines it into center field for a base hit. So Tommy Pham, up for the first time tonight, has the 4th San Diego hit. Well, Jacob DeGrom has now struck out 93 this year, none bigger than the 2 he got in the 4th inning with the bases loaded, the Mike's Hard Lemonade hard play.
You know, his entire career, he has always just had the ability to bear down with the bases loaded and the game on the line. Myers on the slider, and then went after Marcano with the 4th straight slider after he had taken 3 of them, and the last one gets the big punch out.
Leadoff base runner for the Padres for Jurickson Profar, who's 0 for 3 tonight. Padre fans haven't had a lot to yell about tonight. They're starting to get it going now as Lugo gets the inside corner for a strike.
Doug Mittler, who was looking up, we asked him about the bases loaded with DeGrom. His entire career, he's only given up 10 hits and 58 at bats with the bases loaded.
Well,
that's
just one
remarkable.
year they went 0 for 13 against
2018,
yeah.
right?
And the curveball from Lugo drops in for a strike, and it's 0-2 to Profar. Yep, that's that high spin curveball you heard about, Jurickson.
You know, it's funny though. The game 3-0 seems invincible when DeGrom's in there. Less invincible when anyone else is in there.
Even though Lugo has been so reliable over the last few years, he's still rounding into form, just his second appearance.
He's going to have some days, you know, as he rounds into form.
Mets have a rested Edwin Diaz ready to go in the 9th inning, hoping that Lugo can give them the 8th. Manny Machado on deck. 1-2 to Profar. Curveball bounced up the first baseline foul. Wayne Kirby with the bobble and the drop.
They'll be on him
Wayne,
hard.
we thought you had it. Just couldn't secure it.
You know, I was lucky to have elbow operations in the winter, but I had 3 different ones, and I would have great, you know, solid game, solid game, solid game, and then where did that come from? Just like it came out of nowhere.
And Profar able to lay off the curveball, and it's 2-2. So the first curve seemed to surprise him. He was able to foul off the second one. He got a good look at that one below the strike zone. That's with a full infield shift on against Profar with 2 strikes. And he yanks that one foul. So a steady diet of curveballs in this at bat for Profar.
And better swings as the at bat has gone along.
Seventh pitch of the at bat coming from Lugo to Profar. And he yanks that one foul. Slider running in on him. Lugo's always had, for a relief pitcher, a preponderance of weapons.
Well, he's a starting pitcher in a relief role. That's what you have with Lugo.
And it's not going to change. They tried that last year. On the inside corner, he got him with a fastball. And Profar's been ejected from the game. Slamming his bat down, and Hunter Wendelstedt immediately ran him. Looked like a good call by Hunter for the first out in the bottom of the 8th.
I don't know what he's arguing about. Ball catches a lot of that inside corner. He kept looking away because of the breaking ball, and that probably felt like it was inside, but come on. Hunter Wendelstedt, go sit down.
Like the little back of the hand there from Hunter. So Profar has been ejected, much as James McCann got ejected in the 9th inning, arguing balls and strikes last night. Here's Machado, who was up 3 times against DeGrom and struck out all 3. And he takes a first pitch curveball for a strike, and he's not happy with Hunter Wendelstedt.
He said to check that he swung. He said, I don't have to check if he swung. The ball was a strike.
I don't think that Hunter called that a swinging strike. I think he called that in the strike zone.
I thought he did too, but.
So I'm not sure what Manny's upset about unless he thought it wasn't in the strike zone.
You know, the game has become, because of all the technology and the ability to see where every pitch is. Guys are hooting and hollering at umpires probably more now than ever.
What's going to happen when they replace them with the robots? There'll be nobody to yell at. Machado pops one up behind the plate. Nito gives a look, but it's back in the crowd, and it's 0-2. Edwin Diaz up in the 8th inning. We've seen him get a 5-out save already this year. And he'll be on call if Lugo needs help here in the 8th. And if not, be ready for the 9th. Is it cold in San Diego? There's a lot of hoodies going on in that bullpen.
The last couple of nights, for San Diego, it's in the 60s.
It's chilly enough after being in 102 in Arizona. Jerry's familiar looked like he was getting ready for a snowstorm. One and two to Machado with Cronenworth on deck. Curveball bounced towards short, grabbed by Lindor, out at second. Peraza to first, not in time. Ball not quite hit hard enough to turn two, but they get the force on Pham for the second out. And that'll keep the inning alive for Cronenworth.
Good breaking ball. Easy two-hopper to Lindor. And Manny was running.
So Jurickson Profar has been in the big leagues for 10 years. Came up as a 19-year-old. He's 28 now. It's his first career ejection.
Really?
Yeah. So he was extra angry. Here's Cronenworth, who's 1 for 3 at a base hit back in the 4th. That was the last hit off DeGrom. And Cronenworth takes a knee-high fastball for a strike. Second outing of the year for Seth Lugo. Makes the Mets bullpen so incredibly deep with Lugo back in the fold. Bullpen's been spectacular even without him.
It's deep. The variety of arms is excellent. They're not only good, but the variety also. And I think you have 3 or 4 guys, depending on who's up from AAA, that can pitch multiple innings. That's unusual too.
0-2 to Cronenworth. Curveball struck him out. Seth Lugo gives up a leadoff hit, retires the next 3 with a couple of strikeouts. That sends us to the 9th, 3-0 New York. With the last game going in Major League Baseball tonight. That's with a 3-0 lead. Francisco Lindor leads off against Nabil Crismat.
Tried to grab the ball.
Messes with Victor Caratini.
Caratini caught the ball on the bounce and then held it in the strike zone like he was waiting for the call. It's pretty funny.
Lindor homered back in the 5th inning, his 5th of the year. Crismat working his 2nd inning and throws the curveball, and Lindor swings over it. 1-1. Jorge Mateo is coming to play center field after Jurickson Profar was ejected, slamming his bat down after being called out on strikes. Lindor, Alonso, and Smith for the Mets in the 9th before Edwin Diaz. I wonder if there's a plan B if the Mets add on here in the 9th.
I don't know.
Lugo threw 20 pitches in that 8th, so he's probably not going to go a second. Lindor lifts one out to left. Back toward the corner goes Pham. He can't make the catch. It bounces off his face into the corner, and Lindor goes to second base. I hope Pham's okay. Remember, he just got stitches in his chin after colliding with Ha-Sung Kim a few days ago, and that ball bounced and appeared to come up and hit him in the face again.
Well, Pham has great speed. They had him all the way in left center field, so had an incredible room to run to try to get to this ball and couldn't get there.
No, it hit his hand, not his face. So that's good. So it's a double for Lindor, his 2nd extra base hit of the night. Francisco had just 10 extra base hits this season coming into the night. Home run and a double in this game, and now Alonso is 1 for 4. He gets a curveball and grounds it to short. Tatis holds the runner and gets the out. 1 away. Well, let's see what's coming up on WB Mason Postgame Live. Steve Gelb's in a strange place without his checked shirt. Steve? Well, we're keeping everything pressed and ready to go for you, Steve, when you're ready to reclaim the full checks. 1 out. Here's Dom Smith, who's been on base twice tonight with a single and a hit by pitch. He's also stolen a base, his second of the year, and takes the curveball outside from Krismott. Bill Krismott from Colombia grew up in Barranquilla. Most of Colombia is a soccer playing country, but Barranquilla near the coast is the baseball centric area that has produced most of the players from Colombia who have made it to the major leagues, including Orlando Cabrera. Good changeup by Krismott, and it's 2-1. Orlando Cabrera had a vastly underrated career.
He was a really good player. And wherever he went, those teams won.
Kevin Pillar waiting on deck. Lindor at second with 1 out. That's now of 11 hits for the night. And after the Mets were held without an extra base hit last night, they have 5 of them tonight. McKinney double to lead off the game. Blankenhorn double. Peraza homered. And Lindor is homered and double. So a better offensive night. Joe Musgrove is on the hook in this game. He went 5 innings plus, allowed 3 runs, 8 hits. Tim Hill and Austin Adams each with a scoreless inning. And now Krismott trying for his second scoreless inning, but he walks Dom Smith, who I'm not sure was aware that was ball 4. So Dom's on base for the 3rd time tonight. It would appear as though they want Krismott to finish this game. Nobody's up in the San Diego bullpen.
I will say, though, when I think of Colombian shortstops, I think of Edgar Renteria.
Yep.
He's another guy that's underrated.
He was also from Barranquilla.
Yeah,
there
you
same
go.
Part of the country. There's Pillar, who singled and scored in the 6th inning. Well, Edgar Renteria was not only a good player, but he was an incredibly clutch player.
Money. Base hit for the Marlins, right, to get them their World Series championship. And didn't he hit in 2010 the home run off Cliff Lee early in that World Series for the Giants? Could be mistaken.
Pillar went around, and it's 1-1. And Edgar Renteria was a lifetime 286 hitter, had 140 home runs, and he was an outstanding shortstop.
He was a good player.
Somehow stopped by Caratini on that spiked fastball. 2-1. Lindor at second, Smith at first with 1 out. 2-1 coming to Pillar. And Kevin strokes one the other way out to Myers, who has to play it on a hop. Base hit around third. Lindor trying to score. Myers throw, not in time. Lindor comes home on the hit by Pillar, and it's 4-0 New York.
Love it. Add on if you can.
Strong throw from Myers to the plate, but Lindor just flat out beat it. Read that ball really well as it dropped in front of Myers.
Changeup by Crismatt, fisted into right field by Pilar, so it didn't have a lot on it. No way for Myers to get in, run in, and catch this ball. So on one hop, good throw, got it off quickly, but just great base running by Lindor. Almost a collision there. You see that by Lindor and Crismatt, the pitcher, who's trying to go and back up.
So the Mets tack on a run here in the ninth, and now Nito with 2 men on takes a curveball for a strike. Well, Edwin Diaz is still up in the Mets bullpen. I think at 4-0 they still go to Diaz. If they were to add another run, then they might consider getting somebody else up.
There you go.
Nito's 1 for 3 and a walk tonight, and he's late on the fastball when it's 0-2. Crismatt throws you so much junk with the slow curve and the changeup. That 90-mile-an-hour fastball that's on you in a hurry. Now a non-save situation for Diaz.
He's going to have to find a way, Edwin, when he has those appearances that aren't for saves. He's going to have to find that zone, just like he does, or that adrenaline zone that he finds when it's a save situation.
Wouldn't be the first closer
That's right.
who finds it less stimulating to pitch in those non-save chances. And Nito takes a changeup for strike 3 called, and another unhappy customer. Isn't that strike 3? Yeah, it is.
Smith,
how many guys don't know the count tonight? I mean, when the umpire has to put up 3 fingers to send you away to the dugout, it's not a good sign. I mean, I don't think it was a strike, but he called it a strike, and it was the 3rd one. It's a late night.
Well, it's not late for them.
Well, it's still on New York time.
You still had the count correct.
Well, most importantly, Hunter Wendelstedt had the count correct. We've seen 3-ball walks in baseball this week. Here's Jonathan Villar taking a changeup outside.
Was it Urshela? Had a 3?
Yeah, he just confidently went to first base, and nobody said anything about it. Villar came up as a pinch hitter in the 6th inning, had an RBI single, and he grounded out in the 8th, 1 for 2. Batting here with 2 out and 2 on, and takes a fastball for a strike. In the last of the 9th, the Padres will have Tatis, Hosmer, and Myers coming up. And presumably it's going to be Diaz, who remains the only man standing up in the Mets bullpen. Pop foul back and out of play, and it's 1-2 to Villar.
What a nice crowd there in San Diego, don't they?
16,644 tonight. Crowds keep getting bigger. Mets will be able to entertain as many as 33,000 coming up.
On Friday?
I think it's starting with this homestand.
Okay. Wow. That'll be great.
Be different. And only in a good way. Curveball misses, 2-2 to Villar. May take you a little longer to get out of the parking lot after the game, but that's a good thing too.
Might have to go to Flushing, Koreatown, hang a left.
College Point Boulevard? Yeah. Now we've given away the secret. Poor Jay Reese looks so cold. 2-2 coming, and it's in the dirt. Another fastball that bounces, and it's 3-2.
Crismatt just throws that fastball kind of to stay in shape so he can get to that changeup.
So now Smith and Pilar will be in motion with 3-2, 2 down. Mason Williams out on deck to pinch hit with the pitcher spot due up next. 3-2 coming. And Villar pounds one on the ground right near the bag. Machado can't make a tag, and everybody's safe. What a weird play. Machado, the ball, and Smith all arrived at the same time with Dom running on the pitch, and Dom arrived safely.
Well, I think Machado's mad at himself because his first thought was to take this grounder and go straight to the bag and thinking that Smith was going to overslide it. But then he changed his mind. And if he had stayed with Smith, that would have been the play.
Looked like Dom took a weird path there, maybe trying to avoid running into Machado. And it turned out for the best. So it's an infield hit for VR to load up the bases. What a strange looking play.
Well, VR with a couple of hits. It's coming in late.
So now Mason Williams pinch hits with the bases loaded and 2 out. And he takes a changeup low and in for ball 1. Williams started last night in center field, went 0 for 2, couple of strikeouts against Blake Snell, 2 for 10 to start his Mets career. Mets have had 2 pinch hitters tonight. They've both gotten base hits. VR in the 6th, Drury in the 8th. And now Williams batting here in the 9th. And now it's 2-0.
Well, we knew the Mets were going to have a good bench. We just didn't know how deep it was going to have to be.
Didn't know it was going to be Brandon Drury and Mason Williams. And tell you what, this has been such an odd first third of the year. And the fact that the Mets are sitting in first place is a tribute to the depth of the organization and the lack of performance by the rest of the division.
Yeah.
3-0 now to Williams.
I think it goes more, though, to the heart of those guys in the clubhouse, the manager, to keep them focused. The best thing you can do as a manager in this game, especially this year, you have to be able to concentrate on who you have,
right,
not on who you don't have.
Mets have used 45 players in their first 50 games. 3-0 to Williams with the bases loaded and a fastball down the middle for a strike. Bill Krismot being asked to soak up a couple of innings. He threw 19 pitches in the 8th inning. He's thrown 28 more here in the 9th. Peraza would be next. Smith at third, Pilar at second, VR at first. And Williams yanks one on the ground down to first, and Hosmer will play it himself. That retires the side. Mets tack on a run and Pilar's RBI hit. 4-0 going to the bottom of the 9th. Routine brilliance from Jacob DeGrom tonight. 7 scoreless innings, 11 strikeouts.
You know, most of the games when we watch him strike out 11 or more, he gets on a run of 5, 6, 7, 8 in a row. That wasn't the case against this good lineup of the Padres. They really battled him for the first 4 innings, loaded the big bases in the 4th, and the game was in the balance. But he got 2 huge strikeouts to end that 4th, went from there to 11 punch-outs over 7 innings. Great job, but I say that every time that he pitches.
Edwin Diaz in a non-save situation. This has not been his specialty. He'll come in with a 4-0 lead.
Well, you see his numbers so far this year. Big, huge game for the Mets. Should have a big enough lead here to get through. Even Tatis leading off.
Mason Williams stays in the game in center field. Kevin Pilar moves to left field. Don't know if that's for defense or because Dom might have banged his knee on that slide at third base. We'll wait and see till after the game. Fernando Tatis leads off in the last of the 9th. And trying to get out of the way of an up and in fastball. Did he swing? He did not. It's ball 1. First base umpire Tripp Gibson making the call and getting some heat from the Mets dugout.
I mean, what do you need, Tripp?
And Tripp was really yelling back at the Mets dugout after that call. And that one busts inside on Tatis and loses him his bat and his helmet. And that draws the wrath of the San Diego faithful. Tatis has doubled, reached on an error, and walked tonight. So Diaz been uncomfortable with the first 2 and the 3rd. Wow. No intent, obviously, but 3 pitches in a row that have forced Tatis to think about the baseball boring in on him.
No intent. Tatis Jr. makes like the Matrix here. Somehow gets out of the way. Maybe no intent, but the crowd here feeling like Diaz get a clue.
Well, Lindor is going to come in to try and settle Diaz down. We've talked about it ad nauseum. These non-save situations, he's a different guy. 11 times this year he's pitched in non-save situations. His ERA in those games is 5.91. And he has missed badly with 3 straight pitches to Tatis. All on that arm side of the plate. And Tatis, after being undressed twice in a row, settles himself back in. And Diaz finds the strike zone. All it took was a little arm on the shoulder from Francisco Lindor. There's Williams out in center. I mentioned Pilar moving to left with Dom coming out. And Tatis swings through the fastball, and it's 3-2. How does that work exactly?
What do you mean?
You miss so badly with 3 pitches, and then all of a sudden you're able to get your aim right.
Well, I think you're facing one of the best players in the game. So you're coming in and you got the adrenaline flowing, and you want to really let it go because you don't want this guy to embarrass you and hit the ball 450 feet.
The last foul ball caught Hunter Wendelstedt. Nito turning around to make sure Hunter's okay.
So you lose your release point, and you just need someone to go, hey, we're winning 4-0. Just throw some strikes.
3-2 coming. Past the mound. Peraza positioned perfectly. Throws out Tatis. 1 out.
How many times have the Mets made that play this year? Perfectly placed second baseman to take a ball up the middle. A hit in many instances away from the opposition.
Well, the Mets have shifted brilliantly this year. It's one of the reasons why they lead all of baseball in defensive runs saved. Coming into the day, through their first 50 games, 38 defensive runs saved. #1 in the major leagues. Here's Eric Hosmer taking a slider low and in for ball 1. And it's amazing enough, but when you consider where the Mets came from defensively over the last few years, it's remarkable the way they've jumped. Now, part of that has been personnel.
Yeah.
In some cases, their personnel defensively has improved with some of their frontline guys hurt.
That's right.
But also the positioning and the way the Mets have drawn that up in their collaborative fashion has been spectacular.
Yeah, they might not have the offensive qualifications, but the guys that are in the infield now can really pick it. And that helps. But kudos to the guys, the young people that are making a lot of crunching the numbers and figuring it out.
You sure they're all young?
Well, maybe there's a couple.
They seem pretty young, don't they?
Well, everyone's young compared to me.
Hosmer fouls off the slider, hit that off his leg, and it's 2-2. Well, we're just trying to keep up, Ronnie.
It's hard.
Day by day.
Changing every day.
Will Myers on deck. Two coming from Diaz to Hosmer. Just missed inside at 101.
Well, you start the game and you're facing 101, 102, and you finish the game facing 101 when it's a DeGrom start and Diaz finish.
Padres have only been shut out twice this year. Hosmer down on strikes. 2 down on the last of the ninth. 14 strikeouts for Met pitchers. 15 strikeouts for Padre pitchers. 29 Ks on the night.
5 hitters in this lineup have struck out at least twice in this game tonight for the Padres.
So the Padres down to their final out. Will Myers coming up. Myers 0 for 3, grounded out and struck out twice. And the slider runs inside for ball 1. One and 1 to Myers. Well, Jacob DeGrom 7 scoreless innings tonight. His next start will also be against San Diego next weekend. And now the Padres are down to their final strike.
Well, they'll certainly go to school on some of the ways that DeGrom tried to get them out tonight, especially with guys on base in the fourth. But he has so many ways to get you out.
1-2 coming. Ground ball to the right side toward the hole. Peraza can't get to it. And Myers sneaks a base hit against the shift to keep the Padres alive. So here's a graphic representation of the DeGrom strikeouts tonight.
And I told you before the game that, a major percentage of the pitches thrown by DeGrom are to the glove side because he just owns that part of the strike zone. So if you're the Padres, you see that, and we'll see how they try to make an adjustment for Friday night.
Diaz a strikeout in the inning of Hosmer in that same location as well. Ha-Sung Kim will come up to pinch hit. And the runner takes off, and Myers takes second base. They may give him a stolen base. No, they're going to call it indifference, even though Nito came out of his crouch.
Nito came out of his crouch. Peraza covered.
That's not indifference.
Come on now.
There was no meh.
I'm putting SB. Someone's going to change it.
Kim fouls it back, and the Padres again are down to their final strike.
But it doesn't matter. Just get the meh in there is the most important.
We love the meh, especially at 1:35 in the morning. Kim started the first game of this series the day after his collision with Pham. He went 1 for 3 and a walk. Diaz ahead of him 0-2. Off the corner with a 101-mile-an-hour fastball. Ball and 2 strikes. Victor Caratini would be next. And a 2-out hit from Myers was just the 5th hit of the night for the Padres. One-two coming. He struck him out, and the ball game is over. Edwin Diaz closes it out. The Mets shut out the Padres. Their 5th shutout victory of the season as Jacob DeGrom goes 7 and strikes out 11. Lowers his ERA to 0.62, the lowest ever for a pitcher through his first 9 starts. Home runs by Peraza and Lindor, and the Mets win tonight 4-0.
Well, 30 strikeouts between the two teams in this game, but the story was the excellence, continued excellence of Jacob DeGrom and the big home runs in the 5th inning to give him a cushion by Francisco Lindor and Jose Peraza.
So the Padres club record 12-game home winning streak comes to an end as the Mets, after getting shut out last night, return the favor tonight behind the best pitcher in baseball. DeGrom improves to 5-2 with that incredible 0.62 ERA. 4-0 the final. We'll come back with more in just a moment.